Okay, there we go. So now we'll go live on YouTube. I'm waiting for the preview to pop up. Live on YouTube. There it goes. Just put that on there for branding purposes. Yeah, the question was, have you worked on that audio delay thing that you had the idea for? I had the idea for that a long time ago. And I actually looked it up online, and it turned out that, somebody else had the idea and they implemented it, and it apparently works. And then the website went off on a tirade about how they hate Obama. So I didn't really do the project. Instead, we did ultrasonic levitation, and it's very similar concepts on both of them. The ultrasonic levitation makes your flat speaker into a bowl, and so all of those conflicting waves will create pockets of activity and less activity, so that if you put something like a styrofoam packing bead in that, it'll stabilize it in position because it doesn't want to go from sort of a high reactionary area to it wants to stay in a lower reaction area that sort of cradles it. Anyway, the point is those interfering waves are what creates like an audio laser. And so with some of the synthesizer stuff that I've been doing, I think I could probably cook up something that would make a little adjustable delay on audio coming in from a microphone. And then I would need to buy like the kid's toy, like microphone, right? Auto find and activate. The kid's toy spy microphone that actually works. Those actually work really well. And then I would be able to make the flat array of ultrasonic transducers, and I think I can probably find that on Thingiverse, and if not, I can design it in Fusion 360. But that would be that project. I would have to sort of marry the cone microphone with the flat speaker, and then put an audio delay, which is something that I know how to do now, that I've been working with synthesizers a little bit. Clarence says, I haven't been able to catch a stream in over a week. What have you been up to? I haven't been able to stream in over a week. What have I been up to? I don't know. I've been cutting out labels for stuff. Label. I've been labeling and labeling and labeling. We're going to do the clouds module, which is still a little bit broken. So when we remove everything from clouds, I'm not sure if I want to go back in and start testing some of the voltages that are in there, because something ain't right. Something ain't happening on clouds, and I haven't. My knobs! I forgot I didn't secure those. I'll have to get that other one later. These are my special Alibaba knobs that I really like. They look really nice on the synthesizer. They're just matte aluminum, anodized matte black aluminum with a heavy knurl, and they're kind of thin, so they don't get in the way when you use them. Thanks for the update. Yeah, we really haven't done anything on that project. That'd be a fun project to do, though. The Can You Speak module. What's wrong with you? Why are you not enunciating? Yeah, but I've been working on this. I've been doing module reskins, because when Julian was here last, he didn't know what inputs and outputs the modules have, and I can't be expected to have like sustained memories of things. So I've been doing this technique where I'm putting vinyl onto the thing. I didn't think I would be able to do vinyl for this, but it turns out it works really well, like really well. So I've got all of my controls labeled, and so it'll kind of jog your memory of what the different modules do. The only problem is my label maker's a little rudimentary, and it doesn't quite it doesn't have good like custom labeling. So I've had to make everything like triangle. That's a resistor. Do you have a link to the guy's website? No, I'm not even sure that it's hosted anymore. This is years ago that I looked at that. Your best bet is to look up, what was I looking up? I forget. I was kind of deep in the weeds when I found that. I mean, it's basically what they'll call it, a laser speaker. And I don't know what the university research term is for that, like a focused ultrasonic interference. I don't know, any of those, like delay listener, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't have the link because as soon as I saw it, I closed the window. I was like, fuck this shit. It was bad. It was bad. No, I cursed. End of stream forever. I'm gonna stop the stream and start again. Let's put a new blade on this thing. We need a sharp blade for this to work. Yeah, I just simply don't have it. Where did I put the other old blade? What am I doing with these? I guess they're going in here. These aren't that dull. It's just what we need is for a really sharp blade. Welcome, welcome. YouTubers don't get music on Twitch. I'm playing early 2000s sort of background jungle, which is great. I love it. I love this mix. These are hard, like, these are difficult to put on. I guess that's where X-Acto probably excels, is that you don't get injured when you put a new blade. But people have been putting blades on scalpels for some time now, putting on and taking off and getting into all kinds of other situations with scalpels. So I don't see why it would be that dangerous, but still, it's like you gotta be really careful where you're pinching this blade. For YouTube, the music sounds like Gran Turismo menu music. Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right about that. So we'll do a little bit of the 3D stuff. I don't really have to design anything. I just have to kind of find the files for sheeps. I don't know. I didn't, maybe I skipped sheeps by accident. We'll get sheeps printing out. And then the 4046 X4046 VCO doesn't work, and I've gone to great lengths to try to get this to work. I don't know what's wrong with it. I just don't know. It's a through-hole circuit. It should absolutely work. I feel dumb not having this thing work, but it doesn't. It's so simple. It's such a simple circuit. It's just a 4046, which is like a bespoke ASIC for this sort of thing. And it would give me all these wonderful little functions. Oh, there's like a window on it. Forgot about that. Oh, this one's all implanted up here. This is gonna make reskinning it very difficult. Well, my PC just randomly restarted 5 times. Mine's been doing that too. Mine did that quite a bit. I wonder if it's something to do with the encoder for Twitch. Did they change something? And maybe the plugins that I have that keep ads away. There might be something that's going on that's poking at, because I had for a while I actually had it a codec, because I had the old the version from Ninite. If you guys don't know Ninite, it's a site you can go to where you can get all of your initial PC programs, all those programs that you like to install and use, like WinRAR and GIMP and all those other programs. You can just get them as a singular installer, and it'll install all of them and get rid of all those initial windows that you have to click on the thing. You know, first time booting up, hey, what's up? It's the first time using this program. It gets rid of all that. Problem is, Ninite was using an absolutely prehistoric version of the CCCP codec pack, which I like my Media Player Classic. I like it to be very simple, right? But the problem is it was using such an old version that the old codecs, when trying to open sort of a newer video file, would just go, and then everything would reboot. So there's something fishy going on with old drivers and stuff in the computer. And I feel like that's what's happening with Twitch and the random restarts. Because I had a couple times when my regular computer will go, and then restart. It might just be the quirkiness of AMD, but still, it's unacceptable having restarts like that, in spite the SSD doing its job and getting everybody back up. But yeah, the PSU might be on the way out. You see, I'm running an underwatted power supply on my computer, and I've had to disable a lot of little AMD features that would like boost the processor to be just a little faster every now and then, and heat up and all that stuff. I disabled all that stuff, and so that's sort of, that may be another thing that's causing my computer to randomly crash expectedly. We got to do a computer session at some point. I need to like change I put my computer on like a 2020 rail stand, and and it's in like 2 separate components. I need to get the 1 kilowatt power supply in, install that into the frame, and rearrange where all the stuff is, because bubbles are not pooling at the top. What's happening is bubbles are pooling in the reservoir or in the radiators, and they'll expand. And when the bubbles expand, they don't get flushed out properly. And so what they're doing is they're sitting at the top of the radiator, and as they get larger, the water level's going up on my little thing. And it's not that I'm getting more water in the system; it's that a bubble is taking up precious volume. Holy hell, that's a beefy PSU. It's a 69X whatever 6900X thingy and a 5950. So they are power hungry devices, and it's in a mini ITX. They like to crunch on power. So a kilowatt power supply. I've got a 750 watt on there right now, and that's undersized. It should really be like an 800 watt power supply. So I'm just going to put a kilowatt on it and call it a day, and then re-enable all those little features and be like, woo, this computer's so fast now. I can finally play Jedi Knight 2. Maybe we should get started. This is a short intro today, right? How long have I been introing for? 30 minutes. The intro really does fly by. I don't know if you guys know, but when you're the streamer and you got a couple people waiting for you to start stream, and you're just kind of chewing the fat, procrastinating, actually working on stuff, it goes by pretty quick. But we've got all of our hashtag ads running. I guess I could stand to clean this up a little bit here. Let's just like arrange this stuff a little better. Clouds and sheeps, you guys go up here. I will be grabbing clouds in a minute. I'm gonna end up throwing it out the window. Who subbed? Magic String. Thank you for subbing at tier 1 for 3 months in advance. Oh, cool. So that's 11 months. We're going to get to 14 months. Hey, 3 months in advance. That's kind of neat. I wonder when that pays out. This is the custom Seed Studio Zhao module that I made that's based on a Hajiwo design, but I would like to replace this with one of the Zhaos that can get on the Wi-Fi. And if I replace it with one of the Zhaos that can get on the Wi-Fi, that means I can give chat the ability to affect things in the real world. So you guys would be able to send out from the Salon key filter. And we'll have to figure that out, because I want to see if there's... Actually, let me clean up first. I want to figure out if there's a Salon key library for the Arduino, because Hajiwo's code is madness. Every cycle of the processor, it creates a massive wavetable for the Salon key filter for the PWM that outputs to the Salon key, that's mad. It's crazy. It should not be that way. And if you twiddle the knob, it creates new tables. This is all part of the technique that I'm going to show today of labeling. Let's get this free. This is just going to come out because it's wax paper. This is my staging area for the whole thing. It's been kind of overrun by modules that are finished. What up, Madam U? Didn't you make your own DC PSU thing? I have that still, and I still have the modules that I want to use to make a kilowatt PC power supply out of Vicor modules, but I have not gotten to design that yet. I've got a board planned in AutoCAD, and I 3D printed the board, but I haven't decided on anything for it, and I don't know where it's going to be housed, and there's no design restraints, and blah, 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 blah. It just has not happened. So yeah, that's one of those projects that's on a couple back burners. It's kind of back behind the back burner. I even have the modules. Those weren't cheap. I think one of them, they were like $30. Were they 30? They were more than that, I think. I think they were more than that. These are like solid state modules where if you put 120 volts into one, it'll output 300 volts. And then that 300 volts you can distribute to the other modules to make 12 volts. The reason that it goes up to 300 volts is that all the electronics for 300 volt stuff compact, so you can get a lot of bang for your surface area, and so you stack them all together. They have a big heatsink pad on the other side, and so you're charged to cool that. Those modules, there are similar modules to that are actually on the board, I bought a power supply on eBay for like pennies on the dollar. It's a very high wattage power supply, so that's what's going to be powering Burn the Sub. Burn the Sub is going to get nice clean power. Laser enthusiasts love these power supplies because they're so clean, and scientists alike. I like them just because they're compact and I can water cool them if I really want. So, but yeah, those I was going to make for many years. I've been using those on my PC power supply. I was upgrading it so that I could do the AMD build, and it just became its own giant animal that I just didn't address. I did not address the giant elephant in the room. Yeah, but the Vicor supply for Burn the Subs, turns out that it turned on and it didn't make screeching noises at all. It worked perfectly fine when we powered it up. I was shocked. We don't have it, there's no like wiring harness on it yet, but we were able to give it power, and it like was quiet. And so now I don't understand what's wrong with my power supply design, because the one that I designed, basically exactly what was in their white paper, their what is it called again? Usage note. What am I thinking here? Application note. There we go. In their application note, they give you the exact circuit that you should build in order to run that power supply, and I did. And mine made this scraping, screeching noise that I don't think the engineers would be able to hear, because it's the teenager alarm frequency. And it's some byproduct of 60 hertz, the module lowering its switching rate to do less power because nothing's connected to it. I wonder if they have a sacrificial like resistor on the power supply, the one that we have on the wall, in order to make it silent, because the other one is silent. I should take a look. I should pull it apart and actually take a look at the design. But we have all that stuff in Fusion 360, and so we've been able to print out all the bracketry and stuff to put that basically on the wall, so I can just yank it off the wall and work on it over here. A space radiator heater. I mean, you know, like a load resistor on the thing just to keep it from making weird scraping noises. Yeah, I don't know. That project was cool. It's very scary because you're dealing with 300 volts. And there was a time when I had my old oscilloscope, and I was like, I want to see what's going on in this part of the circuit. And I connected it, again, being completely ignorant of the fact that the scope probes can lead to ground very easily. And so there was a giant spark. 300 volts DC. I don't know, hook up the AC. But it's 300 volt DC spark, and luckily I was wearing brown pants at the time. It blew up one of the surface mount fuses, like just detonated. And that saved the components on the rest of the thing. I was like, oh no, that's gonna be expensive. That was when I had a job. I had one of those things called a job that didn't really quite pay me enough to live in DC, but it paid me almost enough to live in DC and do some fun projects on the side. Yeah, that's why I left that, because they never. How could you not pay electrical engineers? I don't understand. You get to the level of needing electrical engineers and you're a government entity, like, pay us. I guess that's been happening to a lot of industries. All right. What do you guys think? Should we label a module? What do you want to do? What are you going to do? Label a module on me? Jeez. What is he talking about? Anyway, oh, I want to check to see if this is still working, our raid light. I didn't put anything in the title about the raid light, so we probably, that's my own little psychological manipulation of fellow streamers doing the same thing Amazon does. Yeah, that's good. Still works. Cool. And it really is disruptive. It's great. Living in DC could be an album cover title for synthesizer stuff. I guess. Let's party hard. Party! It's the party light! I gotta get the other one of those working. It's not a hard project. It's just something I've got to do. I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, it would be really neat to give you guys the ability to edit synthesizer stuff. And hopefully, you know, I'm doing all this music stuff. Hopefully there's like some talent in my body to hook this stuff up properly, because I don't know if there is talent in my body to do this. I don't know. I'm like okay at doing art. I'm okay at like singing. I'm really, really good at building things. but I don't know if I'm good at synthesizers. I kind of, you know, I know systems and I can put systems together, so let's see. I mean, my talent might be limited to making marching drums. This, I changed a bunch of the potentiometers on the basics module. This is still the same module, but this thing, you basically split it in two sides, and both of these affect the attack, decay, sustain, etc. And these do the level of, mostly the level. I mean, this one changes waveforms in one of the modes. This is like an everything module. It does all kinds of stuff, but generally it has only two outputs. And so those outputs can be linked together or split apart, and it does snare and drum. I should probably label that, but I'm gonna leave it as just output. But snare and drum, and then you can control the snare and the drum, all the dynamics of it, and then have external control of it as well. That's what Basics does. I tried to use Basics. My talent running out made it so that Basics was making like marching drums. It was disappointing. It was disappointing. I think with more filters and stuff, I could go a little further. I should probably clean the flux off of the back of these. Better than me at pretty much everything with the exception of operation of a forklift. I'll have you know, I do know how to drive a forklift, and I have driven a forklift in a professional setting before. I'm not certified because I'm not a psycho, but well, it's because it was my primary job. But I have, at festivals, I have done forklifts and front end loaders and stuff. I do know how to drive them, but if I sat in one today, I would need to be reminded of how to control the forks in their various functions. You are certified. That's awesome. That meme made all forklift drivers everywhere feel a little bit better about themselves, and I'm super happy about that. I think that's a wonderful thing. Another synth title would be The Unfiltered Truth. I struggled to come up with the names for the synthesizer modules. I called this one Zhao just because it has a Zhao module, and that's what the hardware is built around. I have to see how these Zhaos are actually pin numbered, and I was looking at that before because on the PCB I labeled it with P26, P27, etc. But that's for MicroPython, and that's more of the RP2040's pinouts. Whereas the Seed Studio Zhao has renamed the analog and digitals to D0 and A0. So I actually put D0 and A0 on the outside here, but it's not. I don't want to describe a pin on an RP2040. I want to be describing the pin on the hardware, because that's where the signal goes, right? We've got the Salin key filter down here, and that goes to pin 8 of this module, but it's not really called pin 8. So between two Zhaos, which sounds more like the start of like a filthy joke, between two Zhaos, what are the pinouts? Because they're the same footprint. That's why I'm confident about being able to, hold on, I'm just getting the microcontroller bin over here. This one goes here. Microcontroller bin. Go. Activate. Man, I'm going to be inundated with STM32s for the rest of my life, aren't I? Ugh. At least these can take an Arduino core, so maybe they'll find their way. They'll wheedle their way into projects in the future. The D1 minis are another form factor that I don't want to deal with for the $1 ESPs. Especially this. It's got like, doesn't even have the, it's got the ESP chip, but it doesn't have that big can over it. Where did the Studio Zhaos go? I think there's one over here. No, hold on. There's one that takes an external antenna that I have. Oh, that's the same Zhao. I'm looking for a new Zhao. Oh, you know what? I think one of them is deployed. I think that's where it is. They're largely deployed at the moment. Oh. Oh no, that user's not around. Duh, I was gonna show off. It's what pays the bills. Yeah, I should remind myself of forklifting. It's like driving a little car. It's really fun. It's really fun. If it were my entire job, I probably wouldn't have had such positive positive reactions. Oh, you know what? It is deployed. It's being used. But okay, so the Studio Zhao has a particular pinout, right? And so its brethren, its brothers, Breda, all have that pinout as well. Let's put these up where they're out of the way. We'll come back down in a minute. We're going to start printing sheeps because these are the last two modules that I need to skin. The 4046, just, I don't know, I don't have a place for it at the moment. Okay, so enter a different Zhao module, like this one. This is a little RP2040 knockoff module. So it's not precisely, oh yeah, I have a bunch of them sitting up here. Wait, did I put one of them in my dump? Did I dumpy? Chat, did I dumpy? Yeah, here it is. I did dumpy. Okay, so we can actually, this one's coated with Linbus stuff. Where's Ben Gizmo? Where did Ben Gizmo go? They left me holding the bag for this stuff. Ben Gizmo knows what signal can turn on the backlight of the headlight module. And Ben Gizmo came into the Discord and said, hey, keep trying. And they sent me a screenshot. Weeks later, I caught Ben Gizmo in Flatulent Gonad's stream, and I strangled him. And I said, where did you get that signal? What is it? And they said they took a BMW F10 and they monitored the signal, and there were 3 that were being sent to the headlight module. And he sent me a white paper that detailed all of the signals that we already knew. We already knew that when we send it to Linbus 02, it'll reply with all the data. He said, I'm a little fuzzy on the backlight stuff. I need to check something at work. And I said, hey, that's great. Get back to me soon, please. And nothing. So that was like a week or 2 ago. So I don't know, or last week. I think it was last week. But you see here, I can, oh, this doesn't have the right pins. I would have to repin it. Anyway, I can put a different JAL module on this thing. The question is it the right pinout? Can I just swap these, or is this a completely different pinout with different pin labels? Because I want the hardware labels so that when I'm sitting here trying to program it, I can go, oh, I need to send the PWM wave out D8. And D8 will connect me with the filter over here. And then you guys would be able to send CVs using channel points or something. That's the idea. And then the difference between, I also have what's supposed to be the Hajiwo chord module. There's still an error in both of these. I'd have to alter this a little bit. But this one has, what the heck? What the heck? What the heck? Sausage Toes with a prime for 11 months. Sausage Toes has been around way longer than 11 months. How's it going, my friend? This one has 3 knobs and 1 switch. This one has 2 knobs and 2 switches and a button. They both have a button. And that's basically all it is. It's a Sallen-key filter and then a couple analog inputs and a couple switched inputs and a button. And then that one Sallen-key filter output can be the CV out of the module. This one's supposed to be a chords module. This would set off chords per voltages. You know, you actually, is that your own emote? Okay, so you don't necessarily need Uncle Joe Nuggy Toes. What the hell? And then Samito's Glizzy emote. Twitch gave individuals the ability to use a singular emote. You can actually make your own emote now. Those are subbies. Yeah, you can make your own emote for quote unquote your channel, you know, your own personal channel. You're allowed one, I think, without being partnered, or I don't know if you have to affiliate or not. I don't think you have to. Affiliating, you need to have like a couple viewers per month, whereas they're giving just the regular Joe Schmoes the ability to do this. All right, let's get started. Let's get started, everybody. Let's get started. Just do the fade this thing out. They have Jet Set Radio Future as the background for that, but this isn't Jet Set Radio Future music. Okay, how's it going, everybody? Let's do that. I have been busy. It's been a time. I did not stream Tuesday, but I did work all of Tuesday, and I've been working on tirelessly coming up with a technique for putting labels on modules and making them look nice. This is all stemmed from Julian coming over and trying to show me how the synthesizer works and not having memorized every single I/O, and then my markering job also just looking like crap. PETG is unreactionary filament. PETG is soda bottle plastic used specifically to contain liquids under pressures and be sanitary, right? It's really good at those things because it's a very strong, slightly flexible kind of plastic. I love printing with it because I just crank up the heat and then everything gets real sticky. I don't even need to put substances on the bed to promote sticking because it sticks so well to glass. I had to buy something that had a Teflon pattern over it so that it would stick to little tiny dots of glass on that, and it sticks so well, and it comes off clean if you allow it to cool over time. Problem with that, though, is that PETG, first of all, my printer is old at this point. There's so many newer, better printering things that have come out in the past, I don't know, 5-6 years since I've gotten the printer into the state that it's in right now. I am more interested in printing strong brackets than I am printing things that look super nice. Like, you know, I'm not a pervert. I don't need little statues of anime characters all over the place. So basically, I'm printing in PETG. Nothing sticks to PETG. My hand labels are too crazy, too illegible, and the top surface is too rough for stickers. The thing is, though, like I said before, I'm printing on a sheet of glass. There's a little bit of glass right there. I don't like that. I'm printing on a sheet of glass, and that glass is extremely flat, and so there are little sections here that a sticker can stick to really, really well. I just got a printer and I love it. It has dual extruders. I could really use dual extruders. Also butt stab. I thought it was slab. I think I like butt stab as much as I like butt slab. I like butt slab though. Anyway, so yeah, I have been printing the front panels for all of my modules in PETG because I'm poor. I'm not gonna buy like a $10 panel to put onto the synthesizer that I spent probably $70 in parts to build, but I spend like $20 to $30 on the circuit board, and then I've got a bunch of parts that I can solder in and program the thing with. So I have been programming these and not being able to label them in any way. So things like the CEM3340 with all of its various waveform outputs is somewhat of a mystery. I have been able to develop a technique to do this, and we saw a little bit of it last stream, but now I've actually perfected the thing. So let's go through the process and I can show you guys how I actually get all of this stuff down here. I am basically using slate vinyl coating, and I could, by the way, I could get some kind of a crazy pattern with the vinyl coating. I just decided to buy a gray. I wanted a lighter gray. I wanted a lighter gray to be more like this, but the slate, the darker slate vinyl almost has an iridescence to it, and it works pretty well with the white labels. So butt slab is good too. I love my Bamboo Labs. I got a Prius and a Bamboo at the same time. I use Bamboo Lab way more. Interesting. Yeah, modern printers, man. I don't know. My printer is a mutant, and we've sort of upgraded it by giving it a Hymeria direct drive hot end. It was direct drive before that, and then way before that, it was literally just a... Was it Prusa? No, it wasn't. I forget what it was. I forget what it was at this point. I don't remember. We redesigned it all in 3D printed brackets, and I put linear rails on it, and those were the big upgrades. It's been running MKS 1 point something 4, I think, with Clipper, and we made a whole control box for it, and everything is really a fun little upgrade session, and it made my printer fine. You know, I'm not going to go out and get a Bamboo unless they mail me one. Although I hear Bamboo's in some trouble lately or something. But anyway, so the modules start off as a Fusion 360 panel, and basically I pull in anything that I can in order to get the location of things right. I've printed out a bunch of these. So hold on, where's synthesizer projects? Oh, we're an admin. So here we've got, oh, my full name. Thanks, guys. Love getting doxxed. I love it. Why have a moniker? Why try? Mod synth projects. Okay. Anyway, my name was out there for Hackaday articles anyway. So these start life as just a drawing. I mean, we can show, what do we got? Like, BCM 15 is really minimalistic. Although BCM 15 had extra engineering into it. So start out with just the front panel and find some kind of a datum point and then go from there, basically measuring out where all of my IO is. On this one, I forget what I did. I'm sure there's like another sketch in here. Yeah, so sometimes I will have that's just a construction line. So I've got a panel drawing that I sort of pull into all of them, starting with that panel, and then I find datum points. So the holes themselves, where did I base it off of? It looks like I went off I went from a location on the side of the panel and did the distances like that. And then I also incorporated the holes to keep these things from turning. Potentiometer knobs have a little nub on them so that when you're turning the nub keeps it from spinning out and becoming completely loose. You are Robert? I wish, man. I wish I had that many viewers. But BCM15 is interesting because BCM15 was for a much larger panel. Actually, no, it was meant to be a stack that was much larger. And so I decided to make it a little bit compact, and I 3D printed an entire rack that kind of holds the circuit board at a right angle, because I can use depth. Julian cannot use depth in his synthesizer because his is more portable than mine. It's much shallower. So yeah, this is the advantage that I have, is having this big thing. I think I kind of want to keep it in the 90s. I've got like a big variety of technologies on display here. If I went super modern with this thing and made them all like, you know, super tiny, I guess I could probably make the synthesizer much smaller and they would all be single PCBs. Don't call me that. Anyway, so bringing it into Fusion 360, I can do all of this design all in one, and if I have a file for the circuit board, like I do with Mutable Instruments designs, the Mutable Instruments designs are made in, I think, some type of AutoCAD. So if we go to like Tides, I have the Tides board here, and if I open that up in the electronics thing, hopefully it doesn't yell at me because it's like an old file. The BRD file has parts in it that I can actually copy and move into my own designs. But I can also use the board file in order to locate where all the stuff is. I can make a 3D render of the board if I really want to. The other cool thing about opening the board file like this is if you're building the thing and you want to see what the circuit is, you've got the ability to trace out all of your stuff. Although double clicking isn't working for me right now. You can like highlight, let's see. Unroute, analyze signal, show. There we go. I can see where that signal's going and where I can tap into it in other locations. Pretty cool when you're working directly with the board. And we might want to do this with clouds, with the clouds module, because I'm having trouble with it. What about PRD? BRD, the .brd file. Pretty cool file. I got a bunch of these parts, the Thonky Kongs, directly from these. What size patch cables? The patch cables on a eurorack modular synthesizer are just mono 1/8 of an inch. So just these little headphone plugs, the classical headphone plugs in the mono. You buy them by the bushel and they'll allow you to go from bit to bit. And then when you go into your big boy audio stuff, you can have a large pair of patch cables. That's what the 505 has. That has professional audio 1/4 inch cables. Some people put LEDs in the cables too. What's that on the side? Oh, those are all the things that open up on. Okay, so anyway, Fusion 360, really fun to use for doing sort of these hybrid electronics and 3D print designs. A whole lot of caliper use in action there. So where is clouds? Oh no, we have clouds. We need sheeps. What was sheeps called? Sheeps had a different name. Well, let's see what I called it. Marbleps, modular tester. It might be in not mine. 2040 VCO, Tides vent. The vent is just a panel with a vent in it. I should probably take my other vent panel and flip it around and put a... Well, no, I think I'd have to print it on its face. So, all right. M303 is my reverse engineering project that I haven't been able to get to in a while. Oh, Chad always asks about all these projects that I haven't done. I feel bad. Is the module tester getting published? Right now, that is in a weird state. I have the panel for it right here that I was going to reskin and maybe get back to it. The PCB for the module tester module is going to be an absolute nightmare to design. And if I even do it on a PCB at this point, I'm kind of thinking that maybe I want to stack a bunch of PCBs and do wire wrapping for it. I don't know, because the module testing module, that's the current state of it right there. Broken buttons at all. It just kind of sits on my testing rack. And this is just purely doing outputs. Now I just lost the SAD card for the printer. Why does the printer have a SAD card? What is that? Let's make some quote unquote music. Well, yeah, I know. We need to put all these into the synthesizer, but I need to get sheeps and marbles working again. So let's find it, because it used to be called something else. Sheeps is just the alternative firmware for that module. So I don't know what it was called before. Clouds we have, CEM3340 I've already done. Custard, braids, I think maybe in not mine. I think that may be where we need to be. Are there anything out here? 2U patch panel, nah. Oh, I remember the Norns. The Norns was cool. That thing made some cool stuff. Julian sold it though. All the work that we put into making a case for the thing. All that work. There's tides. We already have tides. Plates, no, that's not a mutable instrument. Plates isn't a mutable instrument, that's just me. I made that. Norn's shield. Panel cover. That looks like it's got stuff in it. Let's see what that is. Oh no, that's Julian's thing. I tried so hard to put cool labels on these, but the 3D, like the Goop 3D printer stuff did not work. Would not be strong enough, and the PETG couldn't take these labels. You hate yourself. What? Wire wrap is a nightmare. Why would you do that? Because it's, I don't know, it's easier to run more lines to stuff. I had a lot of trouble laying out the board, and I don't really like to use AI. I don't trust the auto router on these things, so I like to route my own signals and be in control of where they go and make things look nice, and then I've got memory of it, so I can kind of troubleshoot a little bit more easily. And I just never got around to doing that with a module tester, because how much effort do I want to put into a module tester? What do I really need it to do? And it turns out I really kind of do need a module tester. It kind of really helps out a lot when you're building these things from the ground up. So, you know, it might make sense for me to come back in once I've got all of my modules working and do a little rehash of the module testing module, actually get the VFD display working and stuff. That would be a lot of fun to do. But again, you know, people come in and they say, bother, what's going on with Burn the Subs? Bother, why didn't you make that laser speaker? Bother, what happened to the RC car projects? Bother, what happened to this and that and the other thing? And so it's like, I'm one guy. I'm one guy. I've only got so much attention span in me. I am not a super person. I am mildly entertaining to talk to. That's the only advantage that I have. What about the car seat? It's sitting right here. I can touch it. Ah, there we go. Yeah, just touched it. Bother is super streamer. Yes, I work 1,100 hours a day. I never quit. I keep working infinitely. There's not enough Ritalin in this universe to keep me working like that. I have to, we kind of jump around. My canned response should be ADHD. Listen, I am a fellow sufferer of pretty intense, inattentive ADHD. I can live in my own head for days before I go, wait a minute, I haven't done anything today. I don't care what projects you do. Well, I'm happy to have you here then. It's just like, you know, I don't mind. People ask because they care, and that's good. That's really good. It's actually really humbling that people care about the projects that I do. Look at all these parts that I've got in here for the module testing suite. This is the real, yeah, I'm attempting to put all the stuff for it on one panel. You can work 24 hours a day when you wake up 1 hour earlier the day before. Yeah, there's a lot of broken references in this and a lot of like bad practice stuff. Also, these LEDs drive me nuts. I need to find a better model for the 3mm LED, because it's these lines on it that drive me crazy. I guess they're useful if I'm projecting stuff. But yeah, this is my attempt at building it on one singular PCB. Routing for this thing is going to be a nightmare, because it's not only is it like a mutable instruments circuit, it is like a mutable instruments circuit times 2, in that it has stuff to recalibrate itself. Use a halogen LED, something like. I mean, that would be cool if I used neon lamps on this thing, because it is using a VFD, a Noratakatron VFD, and then I've got 6 channels, so it's 246 using I2S, not using SPI. It's I2S, so I can use the Paul Stoffrigan audio tools on it. But I want voltage references on everything so that I can switch those inputs to voltage reference channels and calibrate what the microcontroller sees against, you know, whatever weird resistances would be there. And so it'd be more of like an engineering module than an actual musical module. And people want you to put in like an Easter egg and artwork, and ow, that hurt. Believe it or not, this is not soft, nor is it forgiving. So when I smash it with my wrist, it hurts a lot. And it is right where my gesticulation leads. Okay, yeah, a lot of stuff in here. I need to get all of my, I think all my thoughts on the circuit are kind of getting into that, but this needs like a concentrated effort, and I don't have the time right now. So let's get to actually starting the print, because we should be talking while I'm printing. We need to be efficient about this. I need to find out what this module was. This is called Sheeps, but I don't have a folder in here for Sheeps. And that's all of the work we put into the mixer that just got tossed, because Julian found the exact design from a British company. And they used one chip on the whole thing, whereas I had 500,000 on a very, very, very compact design. Stop doing that. Okay. What modules am I making? So we're reskinning a module that already exists. It's from Mutable Instruments. I called it Sheeps, but this is actually, well, it says Tim in the corner. Somebody else probably made the PCB other than Mutable, because Mutable is Emily Gillette decided to just get out of the game and said, hey, here's all of the design files. I am done with this. You guys have fun. And those designs are beautiful. They're simple, they're compact, they're right to the point. They do exactly what you want to have done with like different synthesizer-y technique things. And so I absolutely shamelessly copy all of these designs. The module that I built, the Zhao module, is using a Haji Wo, who's a YouTuber. Haji Wo makes very cheap synthesizer modules by ignoring the cost of knobs and stuff like that, but they have some really good designs. And so they made a Salon key filter Seed Studio Zhao circuit, and then I enhanced it with some Mutable Instruments odds and ends. And so that's the thing. I meant hitting your wrists. Oh, stop hitting your wrists. Oh, I see. The correlation between, like, if you make just a singular comment on something that I've done, like if I scratch my head and you say, haha, he itches, I will have moved way on by the time I actually am able to read the comment. So I need a modicum of context sometimes. But anyway, I made the Zhao module based on Haji Wo and Mutable Instruments. Mutable Instruments designs are wonderful because they're in AutoCAD already. And so I can actually just pull them in here and work with them that way. So there's just a lot of stuff. Anyway, this one's called Sheeps. What does that say? Oh, that's an adjustment. Okay. My hair is fluffy. I do need to get a haircut. It could have a switch to Zhao off. What? Is it Zhao? Xiao? It's Zhao, isn't it? Yeah. My plan today was to go to Exeter and do Uber for the day. I didn't even get up until 1 p.m. and then you got sidetracked. Yeah, it's this kind of thing. The hair is glorious. Leave it be. I do need to actually get... Listen, I know we're on the internet. I know it's likely that we all smell, but I need to do a modicum of grooming in order to keep my standards up. But this is a VCO, but I could turn this into whatever I want. What I want to do is get into the Salin key filter in Arduino, find a library maybe to do that. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Get into that Salin. Ooh, I over-tightened it, so it's like kind of over-tightened it, so there's a little bit of a bulge in the here. A bit of a bulge in the vinyl. I don't want that to happen. That's where a washer might come in. I may have to just loosen that and then flatten it down again because it should look like... Actually, they're all doing it. Except for the knobs don't do it. Man, that vinyl looks good. Anyway, yeah, so what I could do is put one of the Wi-Fi enabled JAWs on this and then turn it into an endpoint for the MQTT network, which means that I can give you guys control over a control voltage in my synthesizer. And I think we'll work on that in the near future. But anyway, okay, so we're looking for what is Sheeps? It's not the Attenumixer, it's not Basics. Bic and Tick is sitting in the other room, it's never worked. These VCOs that I keep trying to build, I have too many VCOs, but Bic and Tick would have been a really cool one because it's got this like switching capacitor filter on it that does, I guess, cool stuff, but I've put the whole thing together. It was made for a larger synth module standard, and so I cracked it in half and then resoldered all the connections, but it doesn't quite work. Sheeps' Tides. I suspected as much. So do we have Tides in here? Yes. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I'm using this, making this pretty cool. The PCB works on a coordinate system, whereas Fusion 360 uses measurement. So some of these I've actually pulled a canvas in order to have the panel on a direct view that I can control. Pretty cool. That's off by a little bit. I wonder though, because it fits just fine to the Tides panel. But yeah, I sort of overlaid these on top of one another and then just like copied the locations of stuff. I think I did like a calculation and this picture was taken at a bit of a like it was tilted a little bit to the side. It needed a little correction on that. You can calibrate the canvas using measurements. And we've done that with RC car stuff too, but that's basically how I come up with these panels. So, okay, so let's get this out of here. So once you design the module panel and you get all your little service holes done and get those to be the right dimensions, you want to 3D print it. And so you need an STL file of some kind or a 3D whatever. Basically, you just take the body, right-click it, and you do Save as Mesh. And I don't change any of the settings in the little dialog. I just leave it as a 3MF, 3 mofos in one single file. It's going to yell at you and tell you that you can't edit it after exporting it. But again, this is just an export so that I can get it in the slicer. So once selected, blah, blah, blah. Just click OK on that. And then it'll tell you can't edit it. Now, here's the thing. I started doing the new method of working on stuff where you take an assembly and you have sub-assemblies that you sort of work on and make the stuff for. You do the body extrusions and stuff. And so you get away from having a hybrid file that has both assembly and the body stuff going on at the same time. It helps organize things and it keeps your files from getting bloated like ours used to. The problem is when you're working in that way, you have to make sure that you're saving the right stuff. If you go and you make a component for the assembly, you have to save that and it'll make a new file. Otherwise, you can't export the bodies and you end up, well, for me, it ended up just like crashing Fusion. It just would not export anything. And so I ended up discovering that I had to just hit Control S and everything then worked. So it's still, Fusion still needs to work with like individual files in order to do its job, but it wants you to organize things into an assembly with components, and then you edit the components individually. Is Tides a VCO or an envelope LFO? Yes, I think yes is the answer. I haven't had much work with Tides. I haven't had too much seat time with the synthesizer to really get to know all of my modules. But with Sheeps, I think it's more of an LFO. I think it's a LFO VCO, voltage controlled oscillator. low frequency oscillators. So the LFO is in your system in order to simulate you doing this to the music, right? The synthesizer is there to replace you, at least in modular synthesizers. So you have things like marbles that can create rhythmic and quantized voltage outputs that go into something that'll create audio waves that'll then go into something that can manipulate audio waves either by dimming them down, attack, decay, sustain, and R. I forget what R is. Return. Things that you can hit with pulses that'll make sustained voltages, that'll make sustained notes, that'll fade the notes in and out. All those things are these acronyms that we're talking about: LFO, VCO, ADSR. A 450 watch streak, 10 streams, nice. I just did my 111th Rabaz sub, and Twitch at some point, it's release. Oh, release, okay. Twitch at some point was like, hey, you've watched 150 Rabaz streams. And I'm like, I'm not proud of that. Save as mesh, save it as a 3MFs, hit save. That's gonna export and it's not gonna crash because I've saved this file. Okay, and then we need to print it. So I haven't opened up my slicer in ages. The slicer on the other computer is the one that's like updated. So I may need to change a setting or two. I've been using Super Slicer. It's gone in and out of people actually like updating it. I'm fine with version 2.3.57.11. Not that I specifically sought that out. Failed loading the preset file. Why? Why? Huh. I haven't booted this up in a little while. I think I may need to hop over to my other computer then. How am I going to get a file from one computer to the other? Oh, that's easy. I'll just use my admin of the Discord. I'm just going to do this on the other computer because the other computer's all like spooled up and ready to go. Let's just open Octoprint here and restart the printer so that I can do this quicker. Octopi.local, sure. Yeah, I've been using the other computer to do all this stuff, so it's been merp. Yeah, exactly. Yep, we gotta do this. And then I need to put that password in. Oh, hold on, there's the admin section. We'll just get that done. Go. Oh, that was the wrong window. Okay, let's go back to the right window. Not secure. You mean the Raspberry Pi sitting over there that I'm trying to log into is not... Ugh. Get out of here, ad for a VPN. Ugh. Python has passed its date of... I know. I really need to update all this stuff. Okay, so this, I just turned on the printer, but the Raspberry Pi is permanently powered. So I actually need to probably reboot the system, but I think I can get away with... here, if we go into Clipper, I think I can restart the firmware, and that might come back. Because it says it's in standby, but if I try to deploy the BL Touch probe, it won't. It says ready, but as soon as I deploy... Oh, I heard it. Okay, printer's ready to go. Okay, so the printer's ready to go. I just need to go over to the slicer and output a tides. And what I'm going to do is, instead of printing it with the... Well, I'm in the slicer, I'm going to flip it. That's as simple as it gets, right? All right, so let me do the flipping here real quick. Oh yeah, and I need to get the temp print file into the admin section. I'll just transfer that over. Desktop. That's not it. Temp prints. And then tides 14U. Oops, not into that window. We need to put it into the Discord. Hides 14U, bonk. And I'll just send that. It's like a couple kilobytes because it's a square. I'm just going to get that started while we're waiting here. And I don't need to do anything to the printer. It's ready to go. I don't clean the bed. Sometimes I'll spritz it with Windex, but it prints directly onto that glass sheet. And it's actually really good at doing that. All right, so I've got the same thing on this computer. I just have Super Slicer in a folder. You guys don't get to see this computer. This is the one that I use for game streams. You only get to see it when I do game streams. Super Slicer, let's go to Discord and let's get this secret admin files. I have to hit download. That's stupid. I can't just drag and drop it. 600 kilobytes. All right, so open that in downloads, and then tides onto the printer bed, and then I hit flip it, and then I move it away from the center because the center of my printer is a war zone. All the peeling glass and stuff. This print bed I'm gonna have to replace soon. All right, slice and send and start the print, and you can see it pop into Octoprint, and then my printer will hop into motion and start doing its job. All right. Completely unhinged out of context. I don't clean my bed. Oh, I had a folder over top of the, sorry. All right, so print started. How long is this gonna take? An hour? Okay, so in an hour we'll have tides, but in the meantime I can show you guys my technique for actually getting these things labeled. And we'll generally just have a stream where you don't need to think. How do you know my password? I only see stars. It replaces it with stars. Flip it. Flip it. Did I flip? Yeah, I did flip it. I flipped it. I flipped it. It looks like that. Let's take a, wait, what does the layers look like? Hold on, let's double check. So instead of having, wait a minute, are we viewing it through the bed? I think we're viewing it through the bed. Oh boy, I don't have any orientation on this thing. I need to go look at the slicer. You guys have me doubting that I have it flipped over properly. Yeah, it's on its face. Okay, good. All right, let's do clouds because we have clouds here. I can show you guys what my techniques are. They're nothing special. I mean, you guys probably know all this stuff anyway. Let me get this out of here. Let's just move this. We can also do the MIDI CV reskin. We'll just have everything have sort of a unified look to it. And then I have a filter to build, but before we build the filter, we're gonna do, tomorrow, we're gonna do another hashtag AutoCAD ad. This time, it's gonna be for the pick and place machine, because I would like to build this what do you call it? I would like to build this filter module using a pick and place. But the pick and place needs a couple things, but we're gonna try to sort of staple enough stuff together in the next week or two so that we can do a full pick and place hot plate build. I like how I stopped watching for a bit, but Hunter 2 in the chat tells me exactly what's being discussed. I am predictable, if not. There's no if not. I don't know why I put an if not at the end of that. If anything, there we go. Crime we also do need to work on. I need to put the DAC on it, and then we need to flip to the 4.0, the Teensy 4.0. These are just convenience modules, and I need to build more of these. Plug one in, and then you can send it to 3 places. I need to build way more of these, and possibly a variety of them. Have one that just does all 8. I have the panels printed, and you see I'm not reprinting these. Oh, wait a minute. I screwed up. Cancel the print. Cancel the print. Oh, wait a minute. No, did we export the right thing? With no text? Oh, we got lucky, chat. We got lucky. I thought, because this step right here, you know, I must have gone through, and because I went through all of these and rewound time. I am the master of time. I turned back the clock and got rid of the text. I must have not exported this, or maybe I just didn't print it, because I don't have this panel. I don't have the panel itself. All I have is clouds and then the module tester. But yeah, the reason I'd want to wire wrap the module tester is because that'll actually get it done so that I can have a module tester. That's why I want to wire wrap it, because then also you can pull in like modules. You don't have to have like a bespoke PCB design. You can have the little breakout board, and that's already labeled with all the connections on it. So if you wire wrap it, then you just have like an umbilical of wires coming up to the thing and then connecting to all the pins, and then you know what the pins do and you can troubleshoot it. I don't know how reasonably well, like, nice that thing is. I need to verify you labeled the label printer. Why would I do such a thing? That seems like a completely silly thing to do. There's absolutely no reason why I should label my labeler. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So that's printing. My printer is starting itself up. It's going to take an hour to print, but if I draw this out enough, I mean, if we work as unfocused as we have been, it will easily take that long. Sticky notes don't need to be anywhere near me right now. I can go on top of the RC car that's on top of a pile of stuff that's sitting right over there. So, the tools that I use to do this. I have sockets for getting rid of all of the things here. The reason that they're nice to have is that it's much easier on your wrists if you're undoing 10,000 little plugs, that you have some kind of either a drill or an auto screwdriver like I have. This is sent in by Mahalo, and it's one of the best things that a viewer has sent me. Even my brother cannot get on the level of Mahalo. My brother gave me a little, one of those little electric screwdriver kits. Those would be just fine to do all this stuff. I gave that to Julian because Julian apparently has wrist issues. Why is everyone's handle making me giggle? There's a lot of very good handles around here, a lot of very good screen names. And I mean, part of my whole online presence is collecting those screen names in the form of gift subscriptions to my channel. That'll be back. That'll be back. We're going to work on that. That project is called Burn the Subs, and it's where we burn the names of viewers onto a big fancy looking wood panel on my wall. Pure cinema. So tools that I use an auto screwdriver for some of this stuff. Even just having these sockets is really nice because I will get these finger tight. I won't wrench them down. I use tweezers in order to handle the little pieces of the labels. I have well, I actually don't have much of it right now. We'll have to cut out a new sheet, but I have a sheet of the vinyl that's cut a little bit larger than the eurorack size. So I cut it a little bit further out, and I just basically go linearly across that, cutting out the various sheets for the vinyl. What I'll do is I will cut, using the panel, put the panel on the vinyl, cut the sheet, cut that sheet out, peel it, put the vinyl adhesive up on the desk, lay one corner, and then drop it. I could probably also hold up two corners and drop them too. Once I drop it, I then use the roller to press it down, flip it, press it down again. Once that's done, I use a scalpel. The scalpel is pretty important. Where is that scalpel? We just put a new blade on the scalpel and it's missing. It's missing. It's gonna pop up in my body. It's gonna slice me. Oh, here it is. Scalpel with a brand new blade. It needs to be nice and sharp. I go over the edges. I do a little 45 degree on the edges, go over all the edges so that it's tight to the panel, pick up the panel and do like a whittling thing where I just give it the tiniest of chamfers to that vinyl adhesive because it's got to really stick to this and I don't want to catch it by brushing up against it. Once I've done that, I poke from behind all of the holes. Poke all the holes so that I have a guide on the front on where to put the scalpel in. I then have to just carefully trace all of these holes with the scalpel. It's going to take a while for clouds. Once that's done, you can test fit it and go ooh-ah. Once that's done, I take the backing of the vinyl and I tape it down with painter's tape. This barely holds on to it. All it's doing is just barely keeping it flat. I tape it down right here with painter's tape, print the labels, but then I peel the labels and put them on that exposed backing. That way I can get in there and cut them with a ruler and come in with the tweezers and actually pick them up instead of sitting there trying to peel the backing on something that is, you know, 1 letter long. This is kind of a weird technique. I didn't like that very much. It makes doing stuff like these much faster. That was part of the technique that I did not do when we were streaming it last time, and that's what took so long. It's these little things that save you a ton of time. So let's get this thing apart. Oh, a word on Funky Kong connectors. Order from the Brits. Ordering these from England, you can get the Chinese part number for these guys and order them that way, but I think you need to buy like a bushel of them. And Funky Kong sells them in like sacks. You can buy tons of them all at once. This is a real Funky Kong connector. This is not the knockoff. You can tell because of the way that it is. No, you can tell because the end of the threads here on the patch cable connector, it has this shoulder, this square shoulder underneath it. What that square shoulder is really, really important for is not extruding the connector through itself. That lip right there, that sort of rivet that they've formed, is weak. It's not going to hold up to the forces that you can apply to this by screwing a bolt into it. That's why the knockoffs come with these sort of hand-tight connectors. And actually, some places do sell, they sell a little screwdriver that will hook up to these, but I don't suggest you use it. Because what happens with the knockoff Funky Kongs is that all of that force goes into this plastic right here against the very weak rivet that holds that ground plate on. So, and this one has seen its days. I got a little bit of heat when I was replacing it. I'm replacing these because they're not allowed in my synthesizer anymore. That's such a nice label maker. It's old. The newer ones are better. I think you can do much better stuff with the newer label makers. So when you tighten this thing down against your panel, and you go, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more force into this because I want this to be a well-designed synthesizer. And you go, all right, well, let's just get this thing out here and let's tighten it up. And so you tighten it to what you would think, you tighten it to what you would think would be normal. Or if you use one of the hex ones, you can almost do this by hand. I'm using the wire strippers just to get slightly more grip, just so I make my point. I can easily make my point. There you go. I'm gonna tighten this thing down a little bit. Damn it. Okay, hold on. We'll do this on the other camera. It's much easier to do it if I grab it this way. I'm gonna tighten this down. Why is it getting looser? Why is it not tightening? What's going on here? And it just basically pulls your entire connector through itself, rendering it completely useless. So that's the dangers of the knockoff Funky Kongs. If you have that little shoulder there, and you've got like a screwdriver attachment for doing the bolt on the end, you can get that tight, you can get that hand tight, and it won't rip itself apart. So use the correct connectors. Okay, anyway, this goes back in the bin. Like I said, you can order these things by the bushel. They're not that expensive. I'm sure the price has gone up lately, so my collection is probably worth something. It's appreciated in value, because that's all that's important, is that things appreciate in value. You don't need to be able to afford them. By the way, I tried the little corner maker on the labels, and it's okay. I'm not going to adopt it as a look. I think I'm going to keep them looking crunchy. I think the crunchiness of my technique is part of it. But yeah, so that's basically the thick of it. That's how I do all of these labels, is just cutting them with a very sharp scalpel. And yeah, any other flourishes that I need, I'm doing it in the labels. I'm not using like a marker or anything like that. So clouds gets, you know, these connecting lines. Those are just pieces of label. For the Atenu mixer, I actually went off book a little bit because I chose 2 font sizes, and this is smaller than both of them. I don't know if that's acceptable, or if I need to, I may go back and do that in full size in this size up here. So yeah, channel 1, 2, and 3, and then in and out on channel 1, 2, and 3. I could repeat in and out, but I think that would be a little redundant. and then the mix out. I didn't put a bolt on it. I'm using round ones on this one because there's not a lot of room for the bolts. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting all of the failed labels on the label maker. That would make the label maker unusable. And how would I know that it's the label maker and not a failed label? All right, now that's done. Okay, so let's do clouds. Clouds, clouds, clouds. Little fluffy clouds. Okay, so let's get the knobs off. Doing, what did I do? To basics, I put these types of knobs in here because I saw a picture of somebody that did the same thing. So now I've freed up a whole bunch of these, so now I have enough to go into clouds. Clouds is, as of right now, I think it's my only filter. I've got 3 filters sitting on the desk behind me, and I want to build the more complicated of the 3. It's got like multiple different circuit boards that need to go into it. I would like to build it using the hot plate and a pick and place. So we do need to work on the pick and place. I've got some stuff going on with those skateboard bearings, and I'll need to kind of design some parts of this. So I think that my eye twitches every time you said call the nut a bolt. Did I call it a bolt? Oh, no, sorry. My brain doesn't follow the things that I say. So good on you for doing what my brain can't. Can you make a wall of failed label shame? As fun and funny as that would be, I don't have room for that kind of thing. So this is one of the big guy bolts, but this makes taking these apart much easier. Mutable Instruments designs are unique in that they're putting all the electronics on the other side. That protects it, because I have seen some of the abuse that these modules see on a day-to-day. I'm sure Notes and Volts can give us better stories about module abuse, but having the electronics on the other side means that this is infinitely more difficult to troubleshoot. Who's that? I don't know who that is. I don't know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, this is not just a regular socket. The regular socket, when I found it, actually, did I ruin one of my Craftsman sockets? I think I did. I probably should have found a different socket to do this. I usually use the deep sockets though. This one was modified because these are, oh wait, no, this isn't Craftsman, this is Cobalt. Okay, yeah, so definitely didn't ruin anything valuable. I took a file and I filed this flat and did ever so gentle of a chamfer on the outside. This is probably hardened, so well, no, because it filed. It did file away. I didn't have to use grinding in order to do this, but I made a nice flat front to the socket. I probably need to put like a piece of tape over top of this just so that it's gentle on the actual synthesizers, because I really don't want it to scratch like a circle in any of them, but this helps me get all the way down to the bolt. This would probably be better as like a piece of plastic, like a plastic socket would probably do fine. Oh, that's who's saying fluffy clouds. I never knew that. Never knew that. Oh, damn it, that's the other kind. Why did I use 2 different kinds on this? Probably to signify different ins and outs. But yeah, I'm getting rid of these circular connectors, and I'm getting rid of knockoff Thonky Kongs throughout the whole system. Real rock stars dangle free-hanging modules from their cases with their own power cord. You know what? I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen that. That's a circular one too. Why are they in here? Yeah, that's not very good for going on the road, but I guess, you know, teach their own. Here, put a temperature on that. Just monitor, keep my ear out for the printer. Clouds really needs me to go through it with a fine-tooth comb because sometimes there's issues with the pins of the amplifiers, and sometimes there's issues with the pins on the microcontrollers. And who knows which one it is, but it's usually like a single solid solder joint would fail me. This one uses, it's not quite marbles. Marbles made me believe that I was absolutely inept at soldering. This one gets pretty close to that. What the hell is going? I'm gonna have to come back and fix that. Here's me not trusting clouds anymore. Sometimes they take a very specific value of resistor for some of these too. I don't know if I may have violated that. These just plain up don't look soldered. I mean, I guess they're soldered, but not well. This whole thing could use maybe a hot plate treatment. I mean, I got software onto this thing. It was somewhat functional, but I couldn't reprogram it using audio. You're supposed to be able to. Yeah, this right here, that's something that I can correct now. What is that, a 6.2 and a 4.7? That's a 90 something or other point whatever. Whatever the hell's going on in R31 is the same thing. These are a specific value of resistor that I now have. I now actually have those parts. So I could replace those little jumpies with the real deal. I also need to clean the flux off. These white circuit boards are not very clean looking. Biggest offender, this guy right here. Looks okay. I'm just kind of hitting it at different angles just so I can see the edges of those pins and make sure that they're all soldered. These were like smash and grab jobs. I did these very quickly. And so working quickly means that a couple connections might not be as good as they could be. This is probably fine. This doubling up on the resistors is probably fine. 2015, holy shit. Emily Gillette. This is a 10-year-old design? Jeez. 10 years ago. I don't know if it's the end of the world if these caps aren't completely well soldered. I think those are static electricity mitigation. Gray hair stuck to the crystal. Not my gray hair. Well, Willa doesn't have gray hair. Where did the gray hair come from? Like, I have an occasional gray hair. But those are usually beard sized. This is too thin. Where did that even come from? How'd that get into the house? These tweezers are not great at picking up super thin stuff, as I've learned through all the label stuff that I've done. It is perhaps... Actually, Willow does have white hair on her little head. She has some white hair. It's from Julian. No, no, it's probably Willow. More than likely, it's Willow hair. She does have white hair. She's got that Pembroke Welsh coloring. Photocorgi. Yeah, I don't know. I think I probably need to go over some of these a little bit. I'm inspecting this right now because Clouds wasn't outputting properly. We're doing front panels today, so I think we are going to do front panels on this. But I may want to pop these out and put the proper resistors in there. No, it's none of that. It's a willow hair. It's a dog hair. And then what is the value of, what is it called again? C28 on tides. I don't know if this has values or not. C28. I could probably pull it up. There's a search function. Where are we? We are in this cluster. Oh, we're by the DAC. This is a different design. Yeah, this is a different design. This is not... Whose board are you? Oh, we're clouds. We're not tides. Tides is printing right now. Where's clouds? Okay, none of these are clouds. I opened up the wrong one. I'm going to have to live with that mistake. Clouds. Where are clouds? There they are. Clouds are in the sky. What is that? Version 3. Open that up. Take a look. Yeah, I'm not touching that question. You have fun with it. Oh, this is the design itself. Okay, we'll look there because we're looking for C30. C8? Was it C8? Well, C49, C28. 49 and 28. There's a way to search for this stuff. I could probably Control F and find it, but there's 49, there's 28. It's 10 microfarad, but it's that size. So 10 microfarad at that size. We'll see if we can find a proper part for. We're not given a voltage, but that's on the 3-volt system. Yeah, what are you guys? 4.7, 1. So that's 10, but that's 50 volts, so it's huge and will not fit there. So let's see, I've got another set here. These sets are really weirdly organized. It's like whatever they had lying around, they would just... 4.7 at 50 volts. I mean, I feel like putting a 4.7 in there, if it's just decoupling the 3 volts, is fine. 0.47, and then we're out of our size. Yeah, none of those are the right thing. I mean, we could probably put like a 2.2. Doesn't need to be 50 volts though. Hold on, let's keep looking. Keep looking. Actually, I think those two were the 2 kits that I have of that kind of capacitor. I don't think I have another kit like that. So if we could potentially rip it out of something. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to source it in other ways. Unless I pull a capacitor kit out of my ass. Nope. Nothing up there. Okay. Then the resistor that I need is 3.9 or something like that. And I just bought a bunch of them. So I need to find, yeah, they're right here. So these are the resistor that I need. We can do this properly. Clouds, I was kind of rushing to build clouds and it doesn't work properly. So I really need to, where are your hex keys? Mine are both here and in a drawer. You gotta have a place for stuff like that, man. And you got a place for stuff, and everything's in its place. You can easily find things, like a weird capacitor. I don't think we're gonna get it from the graphics card. Yeah, this is my GeForce 4. It doesn't work right now. Requesting temporary access to synthesizer rack. You guys will have access to it. You will absolutely have access to it. This thing does not use that type of capacitor. Huh. These are all my derelict electronics boards, just from stuff that we've rendered useless over the years. And so the hope is that I would be able to find an appropriately valued capacitor of that size and similar values. But it's looking a little greasy right now, so I don't know. Here, I gotta actually get down there. I can't wait to be as organized as you. I need to go through a lot of stuff. I've got some project bins that are sort of discombobulated. Oh, they do actually use one of that type. It's definitely not the right size for this thing, though. I don't know how crucial it is that this capacitor is that particular value, though. It doesn't appear to be in the audio at all. It's just decoupling. So, I mean, if we get close, I got close with the ceramic capacitor, but I feel like I should probably have an electrolytic just to play along nice with the design of this thing. Do right by the designer. It's not crucial that we get it right, though. What are you using? This is a sound card. This is a 7-channel sound card. I like this thing a lot. It's an old Creative Labs one, but it's using tantalum capacitors. It's got some nice op amps on it. This thing doesn't use that type of capacitor. Man, it's looking bleak, guys. This is probably why I put in the substitution of a 0.1 UF cap instead of the big chunky boy. Well, we're not using those caps. Nobody uses these capacitors anymore, man. At least in the boards that I've collected. All right, so never mind. I don't have the right one. Although I could put a smaller value in. These are all the things that fell while I was cutting labels. What about you guys? No, these guys don't use them either. Black Magic recorder. Yeah, no, there's no electrolytic capacitors on this thing. How is that? What are they? Why? Weird. They're all using all ceramics. I guess it's a largely digital device. All right. So that's why those caps have been substituted. But we can put the proper resistors in. At least we'll have that. What was wrong with you, clouds? Why do you not work? Okay, so that over here. Get this so that we can actually work on it. My vise is not going to want to hold on to that, and the circuit board holder, that actually might do. Here's the rest of that GeForce 4. I cut off the back of it to use the PCB as a work holding device. Made in the USA. Put that over there, don't want to lose that. Yeah, this will hold it pretty well. This isn't very heavy. I wish this had a little bit more weight to it, but it's decent. Yeah, right now all the modules are out of the synthesizer. They're all getting relabeled, and I'm showing off the technique for it. So while we have the ability to, I would like to, jeez, that wing nut sucks. Ow. While we have the ability to, I would like to try to, there's a nut in there. Hold on, I gotta go get the nut. Gotta go get it. I see it. Yeah. Okay. There, it's in the middle of the sim setup. All right. Man, Clouds has a lot of stuff going on, doesn't it? These STM32 ones have their like programming buttons and stuff, but there's just like buttons and knobs and switches and levers and all kinds of neat stuff. I wish I could find a capacitor that would go there, but that's a very small one of these, whatever they are. What are these things called? I mean, this is electrolytic capacitor. Okay. So, too sunny for the clouds. Here. So, I mean, I don't think it's this isn't doing us any harm. This is probably a 0.1 microfarad. It's probably supposed to, the DAC is probably supposed to have a little bit more capacitance near it just in case it spikes in the current that it draws, but I don't know how often it's really going to be doing that. I don't know if it totally warrants all of this. So I'm going to leave those in, but we're going to come in and clean up a couple things that look weird. And we've got to be really careful too, because we've got all this plastic sitting right over here. All these plastic connectors. I don't want to end up rubbing up against them and ruining them. So there's two These are on the inputs that eventually go all the way to the processor. They're like control voltage inputs, and they get this particular value of resistor because the math, when the maths, it actually works out that it turns a 10 volt signal into a 3.3 volt signal. So from -10, or I think it's -8 to +8, -8 to +8 gets shifted, and then it gets scaled with the transfer function of the amplifier. And that's where the 39 point whatever comes in. And I made a 39 point whatever by combining two different resistors. But now I'm going to uncombine it because I'm not a creative mind. Plus, I think this is off by a little bit. And the ones I'm putting in are more precise. This one's going to be hard to deconstruct. I don't know what I'm going to do here. Luckily, this is using 0603. The sizing on surface mount, you get a couple sizes for these little chips, and it is a square measure of the width and the length. And so 0802 is like 8 of something versus 2 of something. 0802 is a really comfortable size to work in. It's much larger than this. This is 0603. This is the last smallest size that I'm comfortable working in. I can work in 040, whatever it's called. 04, I don't know what the other digit on 04 is right now. But yeah, the 04 whatever size is absolutely unfathomable. That's the size for like marbles, and a couple of the others were in that size. It makes you think you are really bad at soldering because it looks like full-sized electronics, but your tools have gotten much larger. 0402, okay. It's 0603, 0402, 0805, and then the big boys are 1206. That's a very easy to work in surface mount size. In fact, it's too big. 0805 is probably considered too big, but professional versus hobby electronics. Oh boy, why'd you do that? Why are you doing that? Why would you do this? Do not do this to me. Sometimes when you hold heat on it, the resistor will allow so much heat to transfer that it'll just solder. It'll just come loose if you hold one down. Get the solder out of there. What are you doing? For some reason, this is not allowing me to pick up and move the thing. So I'm going to put a little external force on it, but nothing more than the tweezers trying to unspring themselves. Yeah, see, there it goes. Oh, it just moved. It didn't really... We'll clean this up in a minute. And I don't really care if the resistors survive this, so... Get them out of there. Jeez, sloppy. I'll get a little flux down on this in a minute. The flux shows through so much on this board, though. Okay, desoldering braid. My braid! Use the sucker? No. The sucker will not help you with surface mount. What the sucker would do is remove the solder that can be sucked by air, and then it would leave behind... The pad looks bad. It's okay. It would leave behind just enough solder to stick the part down, and that's when you can damage pads. You know, that's not a job. The sucker's for through-hole. What is going on with this solder braid? It must have doubled in on itself. Maybe we'll use this part of it. So, come in with solder braid. Desoldering braid will solve all of our problems. I guess this is the tighter area, so I'm going to come in here with this. Let that do its job. Clean this up a little. I think that's a trace in between these two, so I think that is supposed to be connected anyway. This looks new. Clean this up. Clean that up. Okay, and I'll come in here. I'll just grab all that excess solder. Luckily, all these are metal, so I can bonk them with the iron. The flux looks nasty. It's just because the white circuit board reveals all. Nothing can hide. There we go, more contact area. Really, you're supposed to be pulling the desoldering braid through. You got to keep it moving. Oh, I was directly up against the potentiometer. Oops. All right, so that is just a piece of Captain tape. And let's just check C9. On the circuit board here. We're right here. So yeah, those are connected to one another. I love this. The best thing about Emily Gillette's designs, I mean, they're really good designs, but being able to open them up with the same software, and it's able to read the board file, and I can even get the parts out of it. I can add these to my own designs. It's great to just check stuff over because we've got this just zany, wonky, stupid-ass white circuit board that I hate. I hate these things because you can't frickin' see the traces or anything on them. I don't like this design, by the way, of just coming straight from thing to thing. There was room here. I probably would have... Whoa, something just shifted. I probably would have come in and made like a weird branching thing on this side because that way it's more visible what's going on. But being able to go through here and see all of the stuff and then look at the circuit design and get all the values from everything, it's really nice. It's one of the cooler facets of the Mutable Instruments designs, and it wouldn't be possible if Emily Gillette didn't go, you know, F all this, F you, I'm out, and release all the design files like this. That way I'm able to get a really nice Donkey Kong connector. I've got sort of all my ducks in a row. When I do designs though, I insist on having really nice 3D models for everything, just because I'm a streamer. I mean, I gotta make it look pretty. I don't know if there's any alcohol left in my alcohol sprayer, but I do feel the need. I feel a burning desire to brush my teeth with this board. A burning desire. I need to refill this alcohol thing. These are just pressure vessels that are actually pretty good at holding pressure. This thing has been pressurized for a couple years, maybe a year now. I've got a little pressure regulator that I set to 100 PSI, and then I'll fill up to the fill line and then pressurize the rest of the air. And it makes for a good permanent alcohol spraying bottle. And these have this nice tip that I've bent for some reason. Oh, that's not good. Well, hopefully it doesn't break. I've got two of these things. Okay. And then in it is an electronics alcohol. That's really stinky, actually. I don't like it. There's still a little bit left. Goof Off is really the one that I appreciate using more because it cleans better. But this works well enough. All that's going to do is spread out all of the existing flux. So I need a follow-up spray, but I don't know if the spray bottle's up for that yet. Which means everything on this will get sticky and gross. Goof Off does work much better, but it'll melt the brush bristles. What the? Oh, you little bastard. It didn't even pick up a pad with it. That just straight up was not soldered properly. Wow, okay. Well, learn new stuff today, huh? All right, let's see if I can do a follow-up spray. Not very likely. When did I bend that LED? I must have bashed it. Okay, alcohol goes to the side. Some of the stuff is leaking down. Oops, here's that. Can't really get in here. That's the other problem with these things. I know. This is healing. We're fixing it. Don't worry. That was, I guess, an initial power capacitor, so it didn't really affect operation that much. A little bit, though. Every little bit, you know? Every little bit. Yeah, the problem is that's not as much of a wash as I wanted it to be. I really wanted to get more alcohol on this thing so that it would wash away all of that nasty-ass flux. Because we're going to be adding flux as we solder parts down. We've mostly gotten the yellowing away. There's still a little bit over there, but nobody's going to see this. Drops capacitor. I know, like, what the hell? Okay, now that everything's making my head spin, got these wonderful fumes in the shop. I see, yeah, that's right up against that. That's all right. You know what? If we did lose more than just that capacitor, it would have been a nice little indicator of maybe what's going on with this board. So now we need to pick up half of this one. It's right near these little Delrin board holders too. I don't know if Delrin's the right material for this stuff. I think that, yeah, it looks like that stuff is going to melt. Oh, this is going to be a bastard, isn't it? That's why I didn't solder before. Okay, we got to use the big iron tip on this one. With the big iron on his tip, big iron on his tip. I don't think we need the one with the heater, the big heater. I think we'll just use the big guy. Ooh. It's from like a compilation of music to gunfight too. I guess Bethesda found and used for Fallout. Or was it? It was New Vegas actually, so it was Black Isle. Okay, there's just no solder on it. All right, all right. I thought it was from New Vegas. It's not, it's from Fallout. All right, let's put a little flux on that so that we can get our capacitor back in. Unsoldered bastard that it is. These capacitors are not fun to solder. I wish that this particular board had used these slightly larger pads. And actually, if I was going to send this to a board house, I think it would be too expensive because it would be big. If I were to send this to a board house, I can just right click on the part and replace it with one of the ones that's hand solderable. And that will elongate the amount of pin that's outside of the thing so that I have something to put the iron against and actually solder into place. See, I bent that. That needs to be flattened a little bit. Oops, jeez. Can we just replace it? What is it, 47? Yeah, I got a 47. I got a 47. New York City. And these are 35 volts. 12 to 12 is 24. So yeah, that's a good little margin. Just in case if things go really, really wrong, you can potentially have your capacitors exposed to -12 to +12, which is 24 volts. Try some hot air. Not this near of this thing. Hot air would be the way to go. A hot plate would have been better. But I'm going to hand solder this in because it's just where we are. What I should have done is when I was building this board, when I finished all of the surface mount electronics, I should have then put it on a hot plate because that alleviates some of the issues that you have with things that are not exactly soldered as well as you'd like them to be. R27 is missing. There's 2 missing resistors and I've got them sitting in the bins right here. Oh yeah, I fluxed that. I fluxed it good. Please stay molten. I'm requesting that you allow me to position you. What the heck? It's bleeding my heat off so much that I can't seem to position this very well. This is what happened to the other one. Oh, because I'm not flat. Because the knob's in the way. Oh, I see. All right, I get it now. All right, let's try that again. There we go. I felt that. I felt it settle down. Okay. Is that flat? Yep, that's flat. Is it flat? Is it flat? Is it on the board? Yes, it's sitting there. Okay. And then this one comes in. How do I get the iron? Oh boy. And this is a plastic knob. This is a dual pot, special product, plastic knob, hot soldering iron, and the angle that I needed. No wonder this was not soldered properly. The evidence is starting to pile up. Are there standard hot plates? I don't think so. They're for soldering. The ones that I bought, the one that I bought was for flowing over solder. They're extremely dangerous because they are basically an open oven face facing directly up. So I don't really use them that often. They're a whole lot of fun. I need flux in there. Just a little bit of flux. Inject some flux into the scene. Am I even dispensing? Yes. Just the tiniest little drop is enough. There's 80-degree soldering tips. That would be fascinating. Hot air would be the best way to do this, but I've got too much plastic surrounding it. I could make a hot air dam out of Kapton tape and maybe tin foil. But if I could just get to the two legs, this should solder just fine. I feel like I fed in quite a bit. See how that looks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. That's some good soldering there. Look at that. That's as good as any of those get. This isn't lead free. I've got 60% lead or partially leaded solder. I meant to get lead free because I wanted to show off. I'm going to apply heat here for just a minute, just to make sure that it has a chance to flow onto that pin. I tried to get unleaded solder just to say, hey, unleaded solder is not that bad and you don't have lead. Like, it is more advantageous to get rid of the lead than it is to complain about unleaded solder sucking, because it doesn't. It's just all the old heads of electrical engineering, all these old boys clubs making their sexist fucking acronyms for all of the terminology in electronics. What do you mean the resistor color band? Oh, I could teach you the resistor color band acronym, but it's really racist. It's like, stop it. Stop it. I hate these fucking boy club things. Anyway, yeah, unleaded solder is not that bad. There were just a lot of leaded solder heads that wouldn't let it go. And the initial formulations for unleaded solder weren't great. They were not great. They would not stand, they wouldn't hold a candle to regular leaded solder. Nowadays, they're fine. They're fine. They work fine. You can go huff chemicals in your own time. Like, I'm going to respect. I know everybody disagrees with me on that one, but listen, I'm a streamer. I have to have controversial opinions, and my opinion is that it is better to get rid of the lead than it is to struggle. Better to struggle and get rid of the lead than it is to be exposed to the lead, especially for those of us that work with this stuff on a daily basis. Oh, let's just put those new resistors down where the old ones are sitting. The old ones get upgraded to the floor. Happy birthday to the floor. There we go. Lead heads. The thing is, unleaded solder does not look as shiny. I am the old boys club, and I get twitchy when I don't inhale my leaded solder for a day or two. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You know, I work with these chemicals all the time, and I have absolutely no idea what the fuck they're going to do to my body when it gets older. I would prefer not to go crazy, mad as a hatter, due to lead poisoning. This one cool enough to touch? Yeah, it is. Okay. Swapping tips back. Probably could use the little needle ones, but they don't heat up as easily, and I think there's some grounding on some of these pads. So this has been, building these synthesizers has been a process. It's been a lot of parts. I realized that I got rid of all the flux, and except for the real little tiny pools of it. So it's not as easy for me to rework these guys if I see something questionable. Without the flux around, it's not going to pool quite as easily and look as neat. There's just a little over soldering on some of these because it was all done by hand. This is another circuit that would have benefited from the pick and place machine and the little dispenser that it will have. We still need to design all that stuff, but I'm getting closer. And we know how all the mechanical, like how all the pressure stuff will work. We have to see whether or not my air system can handle all that. So we may play with air systems tomorrow. Pick and place is tomorrow's project. Why do you look like ass? Flux. The dispenser design is going to be a little weird because if done properly, I will be able to have a little 45-degree solder dispenser on the thing, so we can go through and it'll just go and deposit just a little booger of solder. Tomorrow's project. I've heard of that before. Yeah. Actually, wait a minute. I'm actuallying myself. I may not. We'll have to see. I have a doctor's appointment. I have a telehealth doctor's appointment tomorrow. Ah, shit. If I do doctor tomorrow, tomorrow's the 12th. Yeah, that's one. What is it? 6/12. Yeah, telehealth with my endocrinologist. I didn't get my blood work done. He's going to be pissed. He's going to be like, you have to do this blood work. I'm like, yes, sir. That means I can't drink. Make sure all my organs still work. Or don't work, stupid pancreas. I guess those are soldered. Some of them I just don't like the solder connections on them. Like these, I don't like either. I'm going to actually load this up with flux and clean up these by just raking them with the iron. I'll eventually install those resistors. They're sitting on the desk. Oh, I put... Oh no. Oh no. I lost them. I lost them. They're gone. No, they're still there. They're still there. They're all the way up there. Okay, I got to be careful where I put stuff. This is just ensuring that each one of these pins is only connected to itself. And I see a nice smooth solder connection to each one, just to be sure. Parts of clouds, I'm at too sharp of an angle. I gotta be careful. Parts of this clouds work, but I didn't get in and like really verify. And this is one of the only filters that I have. I'm gonna build the other ones. They're not checking for lead levels. I'm not fucking the president. They're not running 22,000 tests on me every day. These are just the normal diabetes things that they're checking. Actually, I think they are checking my iron levels. Those two pins are soldered together. Hold on, we gotta get braid in here. You got a blood check, totally fine, and you've had a daily solder, but not like production level solder. Yeah. I think the initiative to get it out of electronics is overall a good thing. You can cite personal examples, but it's good that you're fine. I don't really believe everybody's fine, though. They wouldn't have done it if it didn't have a purpose. Because boy howdy were they fine with lead being all over the process and in our cars and goddamn everywhere. Getting it out of solder and electronics is a fine thing to do. I'm never going to poo-poo that. See, I keep seeing like little greebles connecting in between these pins. Let me get a knife on this. This is too small for the knife. Too small for the knife. All right, let's see. Maybe I can just pull some solder away. So I feel like what I'm looking at is a little bridge up top. But I might just be seeing through to the PCB. Can't get a good angle on this thing. Hold on. One of the issues why a lot of people probably have bad experience with unleaded is that their PCBs will be leaded. Anything coming out of the major Chinese fabs is leaded unless you pay more to specify for your pads to be unleaded. So you get composites mixing and then poor joints. Interesting. I thought a lot of the China stuff was unleaded, but maybe that's just the hobby stuff that I've had experience with. Because RoHS is everywhere. It's like you have to comply. All right, I can't get a good side view of this. Maybe if we get it out of the holder, I can get a good side view on the joint itself that I'm trying to perfect. Might just be spinning my wheels here. Those look like goofy close together, don't they? It's pins 1 and 2. Let's just see what 1 and 2 are up to. They're going to be hard to find, aren't they? We're tides. No, we're not tides, we're clouds. What are pin 1 and 2 up to? VBAT. VBAT, which is completely... Why am I fighting so hard for this one pin? Pin 2. What the fuck? Pin 2, where are you? There it is. Tamper RTC. Okay. It's not doing anything. Neither of these pins do anything. Wait, no. Wrong pin. Wrong chip. It's this one. Pin 1. What's pin 2 do? Clock out. So we don't really want to connect the A to D clock to 3v3. But I don't think it'll affect it. I don't think it'll affect my baby. Still the fabs pre-tin their boards. You have to pay for it. There's the different services are the different treatments of it, and whether or not you get gold-plated pads or if you get what is it, the ENI, whatever it is, the one that they said ENIG or whatever it is, plating on, or if they do like a wash or whatever. You can specify that with some places. I don't know to what involvement on $5 PCBs you do, but still. It does in terms of logistics, so they take the board out of the, yeah, something nickel, gold, whatever. That's sort of the one of the last steps on board production is to not have just exposed copper. You have like a nickel alloy or gold, or you have it with a little bit of solder on there. It's electroless nickel immersion gold, ENIG. I see, I see. It looks really nice, and solder really, really likes to stick to it, but once you solder stuff to it, it's like, why did I pay for that? Unless you're doing some kind of circuit board art that involves golden colors, which is kind of really awesome to do. Oh, all of my fears are this chip, whether or not it connects. All of them, basically, because it's off by just a little bit over here. But I guess that'll come out in troubleshooting later. Let's get the 2 resistors in there before I lose them completely. Is that again soldered? Kinda. Yes, it's soldered. All right, so before I lose these Johns, let's get them in here. And then we'll do the labeling. I'll finally show my technique. My wonderful labeling technique. One resistor. 2 resistor. It's shocking that they actually let go of that. Usually flux will get on my tweezers and then I'm unable to remove parts. Yeah, or board edge connectors, I guess, are good with the gold, yeah. Or if you want your circuit boards to look real fancy until you solder them. Concern here is that in having reworked this area so much, the exposed stuff is going to short out my resistor. A solution for that would be to lay down a little bit of Kapton tape and then carefully cut around as to not harm beneath it. Geez, this is like, solder hates this. Solder hates this one trick. There we go. That's all I wanted. This is slightly, I mean, this is kind of the size that I'm comfortable with. So it's just that these resistors are slightly smaller than I'm used to. So I'm going a little slow. Okay. Hand soldering these in makes them look pretty sloppy. I'm gonna burn myself. I gotta watch all the stuff that's in the way. We gotta have precision strikes here. Usually the soldering iron is laid down at an angle so that you get better contact between the pad and the component and everything. Looking pretty good. I haven't lost it. Still got my skills. What'll be really cool is when we make the pick and place, I will have a way to just simply plonk down a bunch of components quickly, and then we can hit it with that hot plate and watch the solder flow over everything. It's really cool looking when it happens. I've had a couple of setups where we use that method and it's always just beautiful. And then one of you can run along to Reddit and post it. And everybody will go, who's that? Me and several thousand of my friends would love to watch that person. Rework electronics. 0805 is what I'm typically working in when I'm prototyping stuff. If I'm building something more professionally, I'll work with this, which is 0603. 0402, I am capable of working in, but I hate every moment of it. I want to move that back a little bit before I do that. Make it a little bit more even. This, of course, all would have corrected itself if I just did this with a hot plate. That's better. One of you posted to Reddit, and then 800 people backseat how wrong your reflow setup is and your curves are that you should never do. Oh God, fuck that. Those people are so concerned. you didn't follow the proper curve. This isn't proper soldering. It's like, well, it lit up. Like, you know, those curves are just best practices that'll statistically keep you from harming all of your electronics on your board. It's wild how people, like, they think they're gospel. All right, little corrections here and there. The thing that I'm concerned with is that some of these pins aren't going to be soldered properly. What I had to do on marbles is another mutable instruments design that is designed very similarly to this. It's actually the update of the update of the update. This is a slightly earlier design from 2015. I think marbles is 2018, I think. A lot of changes in practices over the lifespan of Emily Gillette's designs. So the later ones are the really good ones. Up against the capacitor there. But anyway, so the later designs are updates on it. But what I found on marbles was I had to chase the voltage from the amplifier and then chase it all the way back, all the way back to the microcontroller. And I think it was one of the micro pins was slightly, it looked like it was soldered, but when I went over it with the iron, it like corrected itself. Yeah, the Thonky Cons are very common in synthesizers. They have a different part number. There's also a stereo version of it too. Here, hold on. I can get to the bottom of this. That's the wrong folder. Oh, it is actually in my stream projects, I think, or admin projects. I have the stereo ThonkyCon connector because again, I insist on using the actual like good 3D models, and there's somebody on Thingiverse that not on Thingiverse, GrabCAD, that made this brilliant model, and this is my modification of that model. Is it? Yeah, I think this isn't that the internals in there are not stereo, but I made I think this as a stereo. It's a WPQ-P419GR. And then there's a variant on it that has that's mono, that is what's called the ThonkyCon. I found that going to suppliers, I wasn't able to find it, and so just going to thonkycon.co.uk, thonk.co.uk, and you can buy what they call the ThonkyCon connector, which is actually the WPQ 9A, whatever, WPQ P419GR. But if you search WPQ P419GR, there's a GrabCAD. Here, GrabCAD. And then you go to community, library. That's the good stuff here. WPQ. Oh, come on. That's the bad one. I think this is the good one. Let's just see. They call out the part number. Mechanically accurate model of the WPQ PJ398SM, made by Wenzhou Qingpu. Qingpu is not. Maybe that's the boss's name, and that's why your company's named that. But maybe calling something king shit, I guess, you know, you should just change. It should be Wing Pao King shit. That would be awesome. King Poo makes it sound okay. Anyway, that's just one of many. I think the Rune Warhus is the one that I think that's where I got it from. And then what I had to do in Fusion is I had to actually use Emily Gillette's footprint, not her actual foot, I mean the footprint for the part, which contains several different distances for this ground pin that comes out of the side. Yeah, not Funky Kong, Funky Con. Soft N. Yeah, Funky Con versus Kong. But these were so cheap. I mean, like, you get a bag of 50 of the nuts, and then you get a bag of monos at 38 pence each. I remember when that would buy a soda. You put your coins into the machine and you only had a couple coins and the soda would come out. But yeah, that's what the connectors that we use are. These are used throughout modular synthesizers, like almost universally. It's odd to find a synthesizer, a eurorack module that does not use these. They're rare, but they do actually exist. You know, some people use different ones. But yeah, that's the thing. And then you don't get the rounded ones because they're stupid. Get the actual hex nuts because you're getting the real thing, and it has that shoulder there on it. These are poison cancer. These are terrible. Do not use these because as soon as you get an external means to torque the nut, they will extrude. And I did that earlier. They'll extrude through, and then you end up with a broken connector. And you'll get very good at soldering those broken connectors because you'll have so many of them. These are terrible, terrible. You want to make sure that there's that little metal square sitting underneath them. That little metal square is there so that you don't extrude the threaded part of the connector that's been crimped over down here. Qingpu is a district of Shanghai. It's pronounced Qingpu. Ah, I'll try to keep that. Hopefully I pronounced all of that wrong. Yeah. Hey man, where are you from? King shit. That's great. That sounds very alpha male, but that didn't answer my question. Anyway, so that's a little diatribe on thonks. I just order them from thonkco.uk because they sell them by the bushel, and you get tons of them, and they're not expensive. I'm sure if I went direct to the manufacturer, or if I found where I could order, I could probably get a completely excessive number of them for relatively cheap. Okay, we were going over solder. I had problems where this thing wouldn't really function correctly, and so we're kind of trying to get to the bottom of it. I really want to hit that with hot air, but I've got the connector sitting right next to it. I really want to hit that with hot air. It really bugs me. This really bothers me, but it does that'll carry a signal. So, what's that? What is that? What's going on there? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, it's just king shit. All right. Goodly soldered, goodly soldered. They look okay. I don't like this at all, but all it's doing is decoupling positive and negative rails, I think. Because C49 and C28 are on the 3-volt rail. Because I love it. We have the design files, so we can just find them exactly and figure out what they're doing. And what I can do is, if I'm looking for C49, I can click on it here, and then I can go to the corresponding file or a corresponding drawing, and it'll highlight it. So C49 is just 10 microfarad on the 3-volt rail. And if I go to C28, I can probably right click and have it take me there too. We are another 10 microfarad. This is the 3-volt analog. This is the 3-volt for everything else, I guess. This is a weird module. So I don't see anything wrong with the capacitors there. It probably could use a big one, but I just don't have a source of them. I don't have them. I don't got them anywhere. This is where Julian would argue that some people in the modular synthesizer community are all about having quirkiness in your system. It's not all scientific. We're not building scientific or life-dependent equipment. We can have these little weirdnesses in our designs, in our builds, and while the quirks may affect things, it can be a positive thing. Well, this is the personality of the equipment that you're putting together. I don't like them because this thing is a microcontroller product and it should function. So these bug me to no end. I mean, that pin does not look soldered. I want to get closer in. I'm gonna really rub her face in this. That's where I actually physically lower the camera. These white PCBs are driving me absolutely fucking insane. I never should have bought them. I think they were the only ones on Modular Addict. Probably on sale because they're terrible to work with. Okay, there we are. I am willing to say that does not look soldered. This is an expensive chip, though. I don't want to mess with this one too much. STM32F405. Actually, I might have a couple of them. Yeah, 8 megahertz. It's an F405. Like, this is a serious fucking chip. The chip's crazy. I am going to load this up with flux because I can't stand this. Look, those look like they are connecting to the pin next to them. Kind of. I mean, it could just be pin 1 looks like it's shorting out. I can't tolerate that. Hold on, let's get a different angle. The camera has just a little bit of parallax on it. That is unacceptable. All right, well, okay, here we go. Here we go, chat. Here we go. I meant to be labeling things today. Instead, we are busting out the hot air to correct blatant issues with the soldering of the chip. Shockingly enough, this thing did not explode immediately on power on. 208. You're getting out your micro calipers. I got 6 or 7 microns off here, but it does look like you are several microns, maybe 100, give or take, plus minus 4. Yeah, we're gonna fix it. Yeah, I got the corner thing. It didn't do quite as much as I would have wanted it to on the, where did I just put it? Oh, back here. I got the corner thing and I tried it. I mean, it was like $7, right? It cuts really good corners. What's up, Lawn Dog? How you doing? It cuts pretty nice corners. It can get a little overzealous and cut a little too far in. 4 millimeters is not enough of an effect. I need like a 2 millimeter one. And I'm not going to do every label with this thing because, good Lord, that would suck. I have to do so many labels that I'm just going to leave them square. But for future reference, if I need to roundinate some corners, I've got the thing. It does okay. It does okay. Oh, what is this? This is an avalanche in waiting. What happened here? Hold on here. Look at what I'm looking at. Up here. What did I do? It's like ready to oh my God, I'm gonna die. Hey, what's up, Last Miles? How are you? Pardon me, is that an ARM CPU? Yes, an 8 megahertz ARM CPU, 32-bit embedded STM F32 F403, and it is in a Mutable Instruments Clouds module. It is doing some kind of audio filtration, some kind of accursed calculation using all of the bits and bobs, all of the LEDs and the knobs to figure out what signals are coming in and going out through an audio DAC. And believe it or not, the board that we're working on does not work. I need to get a big piece of Captain tape. Big old chunkus of Captain tape. And we need to wall off that chip. Flux it up. Why is everything falling over here? God, what is happening? All my stuff is shifting. Okay, here, big old chunkus of Captain tape. We're gonna make an air dam with this. Have you unplugged it and plugged it back in? Well, that's essentially what we're gonna do right now. I am going to put flux all around it. We'll heat it up, and then hopefully it'll reseat itself. Hopefully. I think the last time I did this, I had to touch it. I'm gonna touch it. Oh, this thing is crazy. Without a micrometer nor a scale, these are 1 inch squares. I don't have a scale on the microscope though. Yeah, it's not correctly lined up. It is not. So we're hopefully going to be using the flux to help us get that done. But I need something that'll keep all of my connectors from melting. So what we'll do, let's get that on the microscope. Yeah, it's a thingy. Technically, it's a thingy. This is going to be very difficult. I don't actually know how I'm going to do this, to be honest. Maybe it's better to just cut through. No, I should be using 4 pieces because what I can do is just put them up close. Not touching the pins though. It's basically just a loosely packed air wall. This is probably why I didn't do this before, because it's an absolute pain in the butt. We had some missing parts on this. We had some stuff that was sort of off. Another advantage of doing the tape like this is that it'll hold all of those capacitors in place so they don't walk away when we're blasting this thing. Although getting this in there is going to be a problem. Yeah, I think maybe the pin tool is where it's at. There's like hair stuck to it. Great. That's what we need is burnt hair smell. Oh, this is doubling back on itself. What's going on? Here we go. I would like you to stick, please. All right, new piece of tape. That piece is cursed. I'm using the big tape so that it drapes itself on top of everything. And that'll create a, like an air wall. I mean, really, the thing that I should be doing is remove all of the through-hole stuff, which is a huge job, and then putting this on the hot plate to do its own rearranging. I need you to be just slightly further back, please. Just see if we can stick that down a little better. See, my finger conforms. The other stuff doesn't. By the way, the title today, labeling, that is important, and finding techniques to do it can come in handy. Yes. The technique I would be showing off a little bit later for cutting out all the labels, and the way that I've been able to do it quickly is by taping down a piece of the vinyl backing that has the big, it's got, why are we on this one? We should be on this one. There we go. The vinyl backing has a big like wax paper sheet that it comes off of, and taking the label maker labels, peeling them immediately, putting them on that pad allows me to work faster and with the small little tiny pieces of label that I'm going to be using. Smaller tape might be a good idea here, but I really do want it to drape up against these potentiometers so I don't melt them. See if we just like loosely get that in there. I mean, I am going to need to be able to like function down here, but I really don't want to melt my pots. That would be very embarrassing. But this thing is just so close to these potentiometers that I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish that. Holding down all these capacitors too is nice. Nice little alternate result. I'm close to just saying screw it and just applying heat from above and just risking the biscuit. Don't meld your pots, just melt your skin. Good idea. You know, you can apply the tape and then cut around it. I don't want to damage any traces though. And this thing is about 9,000 pins that we need to simultaneously free from their partially leaded prison. C17, you might just go away. I don't know. Well, that's enough to protect the pots, I guess. My only problem is this stuff over here going to influence the the chip, because I really want the chip to just use surface area, surface tension to pull away. So just back that out. C24 is going to be in a kind of a perilous situation if there's any forces on this stuff. All right, so let's flux it and then let's get some heat in there. We're going to stay zoomed in because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. And then we need to move some of this stuff out of the way so that I can bring in hot air. Just go up here. And I hopefully won't need to touch this at all. So this is what it looks like from above. I've just got this big action area in the middle. What's up, my Aegis? This is going. For full performance of the Cortex M4 core with the floating point unit, it runs at 168 megahertz. It's crazy. The Teensy 4 is what, like 600? The speeds are getting crazy out here. All right, hold on. I'm getting the hot air. Yeah. I hate my wife. Boomer jokes. Full of hot air. Okay, flux. Where did the pen go? We had, oh, there it is. There it is. Got hit by the disk corruption in some of my projects. Ooh, that's not good. Those are always very stressful times. Disk recovery times. I recently had power outages, these little rolling power issues where all the equipment would click suddenly. And that was taking out my file server, which is really bad. The file servers are supposed to shut down very, very carefully. This didn't have a chance because my battery backup batteries finally went bad. I guess I got 4 years out of them. That's about when I bought that thing. So I had to buy $60 of lantern batteries in order to refurbish. Have an NAS, but couldn't put it there because I didn't need it yet. Oh, jeez. That's going to be a problem for me too, because I've been working off of the hard drives here in the shop, and I haven't been using the NAS to back up my project. Pretty much the same exact issue. All right, so I'm just going to slowly heat up the area, and I'll concentrate a little bit harder on the heat in just a minute. So I'm staying far back and get a better view. Staying far back and just letting my heat get deposited in the area, get everything around it warm so it's not such a shock to the whole system. What, the help me cholesterol, you're my only hope? Has that already righted itself? No. What are we looking for here? We're looking for these pins to seat a little better, and it looks like my air dam has done its job. Pretty sure everybody's flowing into position. Oh, those are still off by a little. See how they're getting shiny and just flowing over individually. It's these right here on the upper right. These need to all twist just a little tiny bit. All right, so now I'm going to put the beans to it. I'm going to get closer. All the beans, all the time. Doesn't really feel like it's moving. Oh, but it is, I think. All right, well, that's all I can do. It's really hard to tell if anything really happened there. Overall, it looks like the pins are very separate, though. And it looks like that right side is looking a lot better than it was. Do we lose a cap? It shifted a little. I'll fix it. Why'd it go that way? Is that what was pressing on the... Maybe that's why it didn't move anymore. Those look much better, though. Much, much better. Before, it was a little ambiguous whether or not they were bridged. Now we can see in between all of them pretty clearly. No, it's still off by a little. These are slightly. I think the pin here in this corner. Oh, it's a giant finger. The pin right there is, I think, a little bent, but it is definitely on its own pad now. It's got its own place. It's living its best life. All right, so let's fix the cap now that everything here is hot. Jeez, I'm gonna burn my finger trying to get in there. All right, iron. Oh, let's get the whole air setup out of here because it's really in the way, threatening everything. Okay, that makes a nice big gaping hole for me to exist in, and then we need to get the iron, and I need to get on both sides of this thing and just kind of sneak it, sneak back into position. This stuff is a lot smaller than you think it is. Iron is off. Turn on. I'll look in just a minute. I guess the air pushed this. Big stinky cap. This one's like way oversized for the location that it's in, huh? Must be a higher voltage. Well, close enough. If I can go this way on it. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. I think I need the big iron for this one. C19 above the A and arm. Bridge to a pin on the chip. Yeah. Here. This is again why I hate these white circuit boards. I hate them. There are problems like this where you can't see that there's supposed to be a trace there, and then the solder mask just like goes away because you scraped it a little bit. If I had control over this, this would be either a yellow PCB or just green. The yellow PCB turned out so nice from Seed Studio. Like, if that's what the traces look like, I would be so much happier. So much happier. This is a board that I designed. All right, anyway. Where are we? Processor Chan? Where'd you go? DAC Chan. DAC Chan's looking pretty good. On some of the designs, I actually stacked resistors in order to make that 339 thing. Not my proudest moment. I did have some problems with the pins on the mutable ones, but those are the smaller chips. These are larger, so they shouldn't have that many. Wow, that's a... How did that... What even... Clouds has been like sitting in the basement, like on the floor. It's not been well treated. It's got all kinds of wrong parts on it too, because I refused to order more parts. That's a winter picture of Willow. Dennis, oh, Last Miles. I did surface mount stuff by hand with a big magnifying glass way back in postgrad in the 90s. The 90s technology is like this stuff here. This is 90s. Although there are larger standards of surface mount that were more active, and it depends on who's designing it in the 90s, if it's a professional company or, you know, grad student. But yeah, this stuff will drive you crazy. Dennis is alive. I don't know these references. But yeah, this is supposed to be connected. That's just the solder mask coming off. C8 looks like hell. I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. It'll be okay. God, they all look like hell. They all look just precisely done with all of my bullshit. That weird like bobble at the front makes it look like it's makes the pin look like it's floating. But I don't think any of these are floating. This may have actually fixed clouds, by the way. We may have actually fixed this chip now, because now it's just one pin per pad. The only other problems that I could foresee having with it is that if one of these is just not exactly soldered in. And I don't really have... I could use Q-tips to clean it up, but I think I'm just going to leave it for now. Let's do the labeling. We got to do the labeling. And then if clouds remains broken, we'll come back to it. So let's get back up here with the micro. I think we've done everything we can do for clouds, save for ordering the correct capacitors, and there are a lot of very unique and interesting capacitors on this thing, but I think that little bit of hot air did just enough to rearrange this chip so that it is now definitely sitting on its pins. I think I remember when I was doing it before, I was using hot air and I like bumped it and it went way off. The pins on the bottom left look like dry joints. They do look a little bit dry, but I don't think they are. Let's just to be thorough. Let's just be thorough. We're going to be thorough. Just so I don't have to do this again, I can just say, hey, I'm going to use the clouds module instead of having like a nightmare about what may or may not be connected on clouds. We demand dank joints. Once I do the pick and place machine, then you guys can demand dank joints. I need a better tip. Don't choke up on the bat. Swing through the ball. Time is it? No, we still got time. We still have time. No raids. I should put raids in the title. Then everybody raids me. I want you to grow my channel, other channels. What's your problem? Too chicken to raid me? The raid light is hilarious, and it was a great project for that kind of thing. And it allows me to use that little bit of psychological trickery to get other channels to want to raid in. Say, hey, if you raid into my channel, there's a little light's going to go off. Same way that I convince people to subscribe to the channel through guilt. I say, hey, I'm not seeing enough subscribers to my channel. You guys really need to step it up, or there will be punishments. You know, you guys made me do this to you. We can fix it in software. What if all these pins are up? I think these are soldered. I think there's not really much that I can do for them, except to add like an excessive amount of solder to them. I've gone over them all, and they seem to all flow all the way through when I apply heat. Go from the leg out, just in case. Plus, the surface tension did its job. The chip centered itself when we applied hot air and got all 4 banks of pins molten. The only thing is, if like one of the pins is floating, I've run into that problem before. But they seem okay to me, if not just a little on the dry side. What's going on with that one? Yeah, they don't really press down. I think they're soldered. You got lightning going on? I took Willow for a walk in the lightning. The lightning and the thunder was going crazy, and we went outside, and although she very much dislikes rain, she's not at all afraid of thunder. She's a trooper. She was like we go back inside now? I'm kind of bored of this. I was like, all right. It's so funny because like other dogs are crazy scared of thunder, and Willow is just completely fine with it. She's like, all right, cool. It's thundering. I don't care. Yeah, those really look like dry joints. I don't know. Hopefully this thing works when we get it back together. All right, I wanted to really troubleshoot clouds, but I'm not. I need to learn how clouds works first in order to troubleshoot it. Like this is untuned and untroubleshot, and there's a lot of like tuning that you can do in mutable instruments modules, because this thing is a fully digital filter module. This thing's able to do audio frequency work. Still pretty warm where I was soldering. So we're gonna put this back together. I'm gonna put this back together and we're gonna get the labels done. So in order to do labels, what I do, and let's just get some of this stuff out of the way. This is the technique. This is the part in the title of the stream, and I described it earlier. I didn't do it earlier, so now we're gonna actually do it. Do it. Go on, do it. So this is slate vinyl. It's got a little bit of an iridescence to it. It's the color that I've been using for this stuff. I love it. I think it works pretty well. I wanted it to be oh, where's my mic pack? My mic pack just fell. I wanted it to be a little brighter, but this will do. All right, that was bright enough. Thank you. So I'm gonna cut. Get this out of the way. Hold on. Ever use dry ice to rapid cool a circuit board? No, I've never needed anything to be rapid cooled. All right, so module height gets us to basically in between. Well, that'll be a little tight. So I want to go hard up against the V that repeats. This stuff is so curled. It's oh, I lost my distance. Let's just do it this way then. I'm gonna poke myself with the scissors today. Didn't expect that. I can get you to slide, but this stuff is trying to curl up on me so hard that I don't think I'm gonna be able to. God damn it. Look at this. It's like, this is the worst. So right at the M of premium. Okay. Screw you. You're way too twisted. God. Okay. Does the fart box only make one fart sound? No, it makes 9 fart sounds. 9. And if you put a number from 0 to 9, from, well, 1 to 9, into your channel point redemption, it'll set off that specific fart. I think we lost the height over here, yeah. Damn it. Well, my cut wasn't even. I need to go take it over to a one of those like cutting thingies, you know, the little guillotine thing. I don't know if we'll get to the second module today, but this whole piece, I guess I'm gonna have to use it vertically now. What I meant to do is to cut a nice flat line in this so that I could keep walking over the modules, so I could keep skinning them with the same piece. But you guys saw for my like $11, I got tons of this stuff, tons and tons. All right, so there's a couple things that I need to clean up on this, and I'm using not this side. This side has too much ridges, and that'll just cause it to peel off too easily. I like that corn sweat. What? What are you saying, Wheezy Peasy? Synths are so cool, definitely aren't boring. My sausage fingers would never be able to use these tiny scissors. For the longest time, Sausage Toes, I was looking for another set of these precision scissors, because these are precision scissors. These are precision. These are precision scissors. Scissors. The problem with finding another set of these, where are they? They're Tech Tool, whatever. The problem with finding another set of these is that on Amazon, I found a set that looks exactly like this, and I bought them, and they came in the mail, and they were like 10% smaller, so my fingies didn't fit through them nicely. They were like the exact same scissor, but just a little bit smaller. It's like they used a Photoshop tool on it. Now there's one little piece of glass on this, and I'm wondering if I can pop it off. That's just going to create a bump now. Great. Probably need to reprint this. Yeah, there's just one little piece that came up from the bed. I have to try it, see if I have enough points. Some people have identified what the different farts are. Because the whole fart box came from a dollar store fart noise maker that Three Mares sent in. And we figured out how to trigger the different fart noises with the, that actually might be a piece that's missing on the board, like on the bed, but prints looking like it's a piece of glass on this thing. I don't think, yeah, I think that's actually just an aberration. All right, so now that I've got my piece of vinyl measured out, a little bit larger than the module itself, I peel it, and the backing paper is actually what is so curled on this stuff. So if I peel it, I can now lay this down on the table, adhesive up, and position this on top. Hopefully get it right. Yeah, I always get too close over there. All right, so that is covered, if not almost uncovered. I did get it though. So press it down at this. This is just a little ink roller kind of thing. Just a little rubber roller. Flip it over, really press this down. And then I'll do that once I get all the labels on it too. So now we've got this beautiful slate canvas to fill with labels, but first we need to actually get the backing off of everyone. So I cut up the sides, and then I do a little side thing for the corners. That's why there's all these little triangles all over the place. And this is a new knife. Every like 10 modules that I've reskinned, I found it's a good practice to replace the scalpel, because a lot of the spoon drilling that I do in order to open up those holes involves scraping the side of the blade, and if you hit the side of the blade, you dull it. So 45 on that one. Bring it up and bring it home. This is a cutting mat, by the way. This is a project cutting mat. This is apparently a material that heals when there's a very clean minor cut on it, or so I'm told. I don't know if this is a healing or not, but all of the cutting that I've done has done very little marking on this. Every couple of years I'll replace that. There's a fizz, a quiet, slow leaking release on the Faz, slightly louder, fuzzy variation of the fizz, and of course the fizz Faz. If you guys are hearing a buzz noise, it's because they're doing the gardening around here. No, it never had one fart sound. It always had multiples. So then I go down the edges like this, just with a little bit of a chamfer. Just you guys can see the reflection of it right there. That just gives it a little. And sometimes I overdo it. I really should have a jig to do this. I wonder if the router would be able to, like if my milling machine could maybe facilitate some of that. Make it a little bit more even. Because I would love to put a stronger chamfer on these modules. It'd be cool if it had a black outline from the chamfer. What are you fizzing on about? Okay. That one's done, yeah. So now we're on to this. No, that's the one that I just did. This would be the one. All right. A lot of knife time today. No, I think I already did this one. Yeah, if I get the angle wrong, then it really bites in and kind of ruins it. But all of these modules have had the same treatment. I just should 3D print something that would guide the knife to cut a particular angle chamfer. This is just to make sure that if I brush up against the module with a finger, I don't accidentally peel off all the vinyl. I don't remember if I've done them all. I think that means that I'm done if I don't remember which ones I've done. It squeaks every now and then. Okay. So with all those chamfered, this is pretty well stuck down. That aberration was like somewhere around there. Next is to take the piece of slate and poke out all the holes. So we do a lot of stabbing. We do a lot of stabbing around here. What works really surprisingly well for deburring sticker foil like this is a sanding sponge. Interesting. I don't want to like tear the vinyl in weird ways. That's sort of my, you know, if I was thinking like if I took a router bit on like a drill, if I had like a little jig for like a hand drill, I could just go near, and then I'd have like big chamfered edges. That's only if it could cut this well, and so I'm not sure which way that would go. It'd be really cool. Where did butt stabber go? All right, so now we stab this mofo. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Making sure that my fingers aren't behind the vinyl. I could try to cut it from the back end. Oh, is that a big blob? That is a big blob. I hope that isn't a problem. I think I'll need to address that at some point. Clouds should be a pretty good module. I think it does some pretty cool stuff. Certainly should with that much computing power. Okay. Now there's the plan. I think if your router's moving fast enough, it should be okay. You do tear acrylic protection foil if you go under 10,000. That's a lot of RPM. I was hoping it could be like an easy hand tool. So these go first, the ovals, because they're kind of difficult to do. And they always turn out weird, and they're very close to the edge. Well, basically all I'm trying to do is just trace, you know, ride the plastic around the hole. And it makes these nice clean cutouts that I probably have to go over them a couple times, but let me just pinch the blade with my thumb. Good call. I tried to use punches, but the punches were never centered, and they require a big violent tap. I used to have the parts for a vinyl cutter. That would have been a good thing. Although aligning the vinyl cutter would have been very annoying. I guess I could 3D print some guides to sort of make sure that I'm putting the vinyl precisely where it should go. A vinyl cuter would be even cuter. Yeah, those are the hardest ones to do because they're so close to the edge. Don't push me. Basically, I find the dot that I made, and then I trace it out to the edge, and then follow that edge carefully. And this is where you really want the sharp knife, because otherwise it'll push the vinyl out of the way, and because it's like there's barely any adhesion to the top of this little oval. Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work well at all. But we can come in and clean it up. Oh no, fucked it up. I screwed it up. It's not enough of a mistake for me to call it. Try to get a sharper portion of the blade to cut. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that sort of fixed itself. Sort of. God, those are annoying. Just a little bit of skin. I'm guessing you removed more than the resistor. What was it? Oh, one time I removed an sorry, I read chat the wrong way sometimes. One time I removed an SMD resistor from my soldering iron with my fingers. Brain was completely off that day. I had the earlier version of this soldering iron, and I was doing LEDs on a giant theater globe because we were making a giant LED globe, you know, like you do. And I was soldering all these things, all these Ethernet wires, and I had the soldering iron in my mouth because I was working up on a ladder. And, you know, that was fine. I was just biting the grip. The problem was I forgot which end the soldering iron was, and I went to grab the iron, and I ended up plunging it directly into my palm. And so I had a hole in my palm for a little while. I had a little, like, divot. It healed. I don't even have a scar from it, but I was going up to reach the soldering iron in my mouth, and it was just bonk. Oh, that feels like getting shot. It both burns and hurts. Good, good, good. There we go. All right, now the easy part's getting all the other holes holed. So let's hole these holes. Of course, the first one I do, I'm going to mess up just to show how awesome I am. Check me out, everybody. Screws up. It's like I have hole punches, but I can never get those centered properly for something like this. The times that I've tried using them. With the plastic as a backing, they would be perfect, but this is doing as much of a good job as anything, although I'm going to have, like, claw hands for a little while afterwards, because just diabetes cramps and all that stuff. This is what I've been doing for the past, like, 4 days. I've been coming up with these techniques. They work really well. My modules are looking pretty sharp. Oh, I really chose a module to do here. There's a lot of holes in this one. Screw holes were the weird part because some of my modules have like custom holes for screws, but those laptop panhead screws do really well with this stuff. So where's one of the ones with a panhead screw? Actually, this one. Oh no, that doesn't have recesses. I don't know why. I must have rewound time badly. The ADSR did pretty good, although it does seem to be moving around a little bit. It's the yeah, the labels move around on the screw holes, but these panhead laptop screws with the slate just kind of forcing that extra vinyl down into its little recess there. It's got a good look to it. No, I just got, this isn't even black, it's slate. I meant to get more gray looking because I did like the look of the lighter grays. I got so much of this slate that I'm using it on the whole thing, and it's just going to be the whole presentation is going to be slate colored with white labels. I could have gotten any number of iridescent or tie-dye looking, I mean, any vinyl label would do in this case. I was considering, there was one that was black wood grain. I was considering that, but I didn't go through with that. I figured the bumps on the wood grain wouldn't, because I think it was like bumpy. It wasn't just a printed pattern. Yeah, I'm digging the slate. As soon as I saw the slate, I was like, all right, we're gonna keep that. I am sad that the little chamfer, although the little chamfer would have created so much more work for me. Sorry, the little fillet edge thing for the labels. That would have created so much extra work if I had to fillet every single label. I probably could have also cut fillets just manually with the knife, but it would have been pretty funny if well, I also bought, I wasted $11 on oval punches. I was going to use oval punches on all the labels, but they were like impossible to line up. And they didn't go all the way through the label and everything. It would have looked really good though. It would have been little bubbles around all the stuff. It would have looked too professional, I think. What are you doing? This one's ruining me. You kind of find the depth that you're supposed to be going at where it traces around with the sharp blade and gets a good cut. Oh man, so many. Of course, I'm going to finish these on my own, all the rest of the modules that we just printed from Fusion 360. Hashtag AutoCAD ad. The module that we just printed is on the bed. I'm just going to leave it there. If the bed gets back to room temperature, it'll pretty much just be popped off of the bed. This one, the reason that there was a weird flat spot on it was because I forced the issue and spritzed it with Windex. That's kind of hard on the bed because it kind of manually peels stuff out. Generally, if I have the time for it, waiting until the bed fully cools is the expert way for me to unseat the prints. Let me go check on that print. Actually, let me finish this first. I'm just gonna ADHD my whole project day. Once I get these cut out, the rest of the module goes pretty quickly though. We just need to look up what the labels are gonna be, and then I have a little session with the printer and the backing sitting right there. I haven't done it on camera yet, though. The camera might complicate things. What is going on with this one? This one's sloppy. This one needs to be clean because it doesn't have like a bolt that goes on or a nut that goes onto it. It just has like an exposed, the button piece just sticks up through this hole, so it needs to be neat enough looking that it won't catch anything and all that jazz. Get all the detritus off of the blade. So LEDs and then that one extra thing. Let's do this first. This one also is a big piece of plastic that sticks up through, but it's a light up button. Very specialized light up buttons that Gillette used. Hard to find, actually. Okay, and then our LEDs, and then we've got clouds, and we can just get to the labeler. Like I said, this was quick. This is quick for what it is. At least I don't have to sit here with a drill press. .3D printing really changed that for me is doing panels and stuff. The 3D printer is such a good tool for panels. You know, I used to have to hump a drill press. Why is this one like... Didn't feel right. There we go. Ugh. I think this blade is getting too dull. This is a new blade. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, but for panels, I would always have to measure it out, measure everything, make sure all of the centers are in the right place, do the center punches for every single hole, and then be very, very careful when I drilled it, and then nothing would work, nothing would fit, right? It would all be off and be in the wrong spots. And so with the 3D printer, as long as I get all the holes to be the right size, they're all in exactly the right position. And I guess it's probably because I wasn't using the drill properly. I think I skipped a step in there where you have to like start the hole. You center punch and then you use like a chamfering bit to sort of make it a little bit more of a guide. Yeah, it could be that the adhesive, it's like old, the pieces that I've cut are like building up on the edge of the blade. I almost cut myself. You know, I'm fighting the plastic too. You got to get the angles just right. But this is looking pretty good. But yeah, now I can just 3D print it and all the holes are exactly the right size and they're in the right spot. And if I need to alter the holes, I can just, you know, use the hole that's already there as a guide. It's pretty nice. It's kind of really changed my attitude towards front panels. I need to make more panels. We need panels for the simulator setup. All right, how are we looking? Pretty good. We willing to put labels on top of that? Let's see this fit in with clouds. little fluffy clouds. Ah, she's a beaut. She's a beaut. Look at that. Deep boop beep. My name is Clouds. Boop beep boop beep boop beep. Sweet. All the holes in the right spots. Yeah, it's it was the first like surprise that I got from my 3D printer was when I printed something and I went to fit it together and it fit perfectly. It was just like, wait a minute. I have power. For like centuries, I would go through and I would drill all the holes and they would all be in the wrong spots, or one of them would be off by quite a bit. And I was like, why am I terrible at this? Like, why? And it turns out the drill bits were just kind of walking around on me. But 3D printing totally changed that process and made it so much more reliable to get a front panel for something. So now we need to figure out what we label clouds with. So we look up, close, go away, thunk. Clouds, front panel. Images. Oh, this is where I got the picture that I used in the 3D model. So what our clouds look like. Ugh. Texture synthesizer. So, I mean, this is supposed to have like little droplets and stuff. These little symbols I cannot do. So we need to figure out what these do and just, you know, get them in text. Let's look at the manual for clouds. Mutable instruments, clouds. That's not the GitHub page. No, no. Oh my God, the internet is so bad. Like, this is an older site, right? So I don't have 100 pop-ups as soon as I click on it. I would apply lip sync to the top pot. Lipstick to the top pot, to the top of. Sorry, Sausage Toes. I mean to be reading your comment more coherently. Everybody out there, Sausage Toes has left a completely coherent comment on my stream. I am the one who is unable to read. I never learned how to read. I would apply lipstick to the top of the pot shafts, then press it against the plate to transfer the lipstick, marking where to drill. That is a really good one. I've tried to do that with graphite before. I can't read. No, that's me. That's on me. All right, so the manual for clouds. I want to see what that button does. I mean, I know they're mode buttons, but I need to figure out what this one all the way to the right does. How do I download a PDF? C. Load save button. Okay, so freeze button stops the recording of incoming audio. Granularization is outperformed last. Geez, what the heck? So B is blending parameter audio quality. Selects which of the blending parameters is currently controlled by the blend knob. The blend knob and CV input, or selects one of the 4 audio quality settings. So B is blend. So we're going to call that one blend, and then C is save. The synthesizer dust, don't breathe that. And then we need freeze. Okay, so here's how we do labels. Now that I've got the manual open, I can see what the various buttons do and I know how to describe them. We can put this away, by the way. I'm not going to need this for the rest of this. All this is good for in synthesizers, like this is wonderful. It's a wonderful tool to use. You can find all kinds of variants of it. You don't need to get the expensive DeWalt one. I was gifted this and I'm very glad that I have it because undoing 10,000 screws is really very... I've found it's not fun. It's better to have a tool for it. But this goes away now because this will over torque. everything. We're only torquing it to be hand tight. For the labels, I need this backing, this nice smooth backing, and then I've got my, this thing is always trying to stab me. It's always in just the right position to give me pause and go, hold on a minute. I almost stabbed myself. Hold on, citizen. So we're not going to use the microscope for this. I'm just going to have to bring you guys in with me. Actually, this whole setup could try to move it to a different place. But anyway, that, and then goes down smooth. Wade Boggs goes down smooth. All right, so that's our cutting platform. And this is where we're going to do all of the label cutting. So now we need some labels. So the module itself is called Clouds. So what I'll do is I need to change the font size. This thing is dusty. Let me hit clear. And then I need 18. 22, past it. 18, and just do clouds. Clouds. Now, because that's the only text on it, I can actually just cut this one with scissors. And to do that, and I'll just tighten up the label a little because there's not much room for the big top label. The unevenness of this is part of the style. You get to sound smart. You get to say it's part of the design language of the module. Is that it's really not. It's the design language of the whole thing. They're all kind of crappy labels, crappily cut out labels. And the reason this would take a long time if I did it for all of them is getting this split backing. These labels have this split, you know, wax backing that you can kind of bend and then grab. But if you're cutting, like, if I do half on top and half on the bottom of the label, it's like chaos. It's just madness. So anyway, so clouds up top, done. Totally uneven, not even centered, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, design language. You can't touch this design language. I see some greevils in the holes, hold on. There we go. It's a little better. All right, mutables, instruments, clouds. All right, so we've labeled that. Now we need all the rest of our labels, and those will be in size 8. And with size 8, I can do 2 rows. So the question is, how many of these labels am I going to get out in one thing? Looks like everybody needs a label. So we're going to go freeze. Freeze, and then we've got, what was B again? It was blend. Freeze, blend, and then the other one was save. And I'm not really counting characters on this to get everything even. I was on some of the other labels, but we have position. We can just do the whole thing. Position. Oh my God, the whole word, that's so wasteful. Size. Pitch. I could make these in a larger font, but I think everything in the same size would be fine. In gain. Actually, that's probably enough for this one. Oh, look at that. it was very square indeed. So now what I do is I peel the label. And I place it on the wax paper, the vinyl backing. Now, when I cut out those individual labels, I can grab them with tweezers and move them over to where they go. So, in gain, density, not destiny, density, texture, and then blend. Probably should have put 2 spaces in between words. These will be kind of tight. All right, let's get these cut out and onto the thing. turn that. I got to turn it off in between sessions because this thing is so power hungry. It just eats batteries. So to cut these, I have to do this in a particular order, and that's because these don't stick very well to this backing. You can see that one's already peeling up. So in order to cut these properly, I have to do horizontal lines, and then I go from this side to that side. Otherwise, they peel up off of the backing unevenly and just basically ruin your day. Freeze, blend, save. The holy trinity. Now we'll go from above on that one. When I'm cutting, oh boy, I just screwed that up. Might need to redo that one. When I'm cutting, I am not really pressing that. Yeah, I screwed that up. Okay, we'll start this one over. Hold on, I gotta remake this label. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. It's just, yeah, just walking, the knife walking. When I'm cutting, what I need to do is angle the knife just a little bit into the ruler. Just a little tiny bit so that it doesn't walk away from me. So let's make that one again. Freeze, blend, save. Next line, position, size, pitch. There's a circuit vinyl cutter in my local makerspace. Yeah, my buddy had a vinyl cutter. I was thinking about it. If I printed, I mean, doing the labels in vinyl would be kind of neat, but if I printed in like a lighter color and then I cut out the labels from the slate, but then aligning it would be very difficult. Okay, let's try that again. Every now and then I screw up cutting because I'm not angling the blade properly. I know everything's like really shiny. How can I get you guys not to have a super shiny view of this? It'll be from like there. I have a super shiny view of it too. Did the ruler walk on that one? It looked like the ruler walked. I have troubles with the ruler walking sometimes. And the real bad ones are when there's a lot of labels that have been used on the board, and so if I try to move the ruler around, I'll sometimes catch on them. Okay. So now I can just grab them, transfer them over. Ta-da! I play Pokemon. I loved shiny. Oh, I have two blends on the table. Doink. Interesting. I could have put two spaces in there and then they would have been in the right position for all that. What do we got? Position. Well, actually, pitch. Did I already cut the other side of pitch? Yeah, there's an edge right there. See, those come up so much easier from this stuff. Pitch is all the way over here. Now my knobs are going to be pretty tight to these. So I could put that, well, I do want to leave room for the washer. Yeah, that's pretty tight to where the knob is. So I could move that a little bit. It must be frustrating to be crooked like this. Peeling it off of this stuff, you can do. It's just a little bit difficult because it actually sticks to this. And then my tweezers aren't exactly as pinchy as I would like them to be. These tweezers are better for positioning components than they are pinchy guys. That's good enough. And then we got size. Whoa. Knife freak out. And we'll take freeze and position at the same time. I think my knife walked over a little bit on that one. Hopefully we got the P on that. P. The lies of P. So many lies. Luckily with this module, I don't need a lot of arrows drawn all over the place. What I would do is hold on to the edges of the labels, so that I could make them into arrows. You get arrowed. Freeze is actually next to it, but I kind of want to go above because that makes this nice like row. And since this is a button that just sticks through, I can get kind of close with that if I need to. Actually, they all are. All three of these are. All right, so that's that one. That's that one. We just got to go through the rest of these guys. But it is looking pretty good. Blend, save, freeze, position, size. I don't know what any of this stuff means, but that's what they're supposed to be called. The sideways camera is kind of freaking me out a little bit. Hope you guys are okay with it. It's the only way I can get it to not be super duper reflecty of all the bright lights. Because I know this isn't exactly dark mode. And, you know, it might have been cool to do this with the clear labels, but the label is a different shininess to the matte color of the slate. So I can just do these both. That was a little, I didn't like how that went. I mean, I can't just do these by hand. But then they're all crooked. They're all crooked anyway, Jesse. You big dumb. Oh, in gain is... Ugh. Okay, fine. That'll be two different labels, but it's supposed to be one. All right, so in gain... Then density, I pretty much went in order with these. When I was doing this before, the worst part about it was having to peel the backing off of these. I don't know if I'll have enough material to make a line. I don't know if I want that. But that's what the module has. Maybe I will, just because it's fancy like that. Texture. If I can get this down as one label, please, please, please. Yes, okay. No one will know that it's cut. Well, gain is actually a little crooked. Whatever, that's fine. All right, now I need a line. So I'm gonna take the bottom of this one. I had a scrap piece that was really, really long. Where did that one go? No, I don't know where it is. Okay, which one's longer here? This one is, okay. So I'll just take this out to fruition. My plans come to fruition. Oh, I guess I cut a little aggressively on that one. And it's got like a little thing on the side. Yeah. What are the, let's see, freeze, trigger, position, size, density, texture, volt, octave, blend, and then there's the out, left, and right down here. Yeah, we won't do a decorative line. No decorative line, alas. All right, so now we have all of the socket labels. These are very unceremonious. The module itself is probably going to be pretty cool. All right, bring you guys over here. So what do we got? So I got freeze. These are like the same labels. Trig. Pause. Size. V/octave. The hovercrafts are back. Blend. This is a big set of labels. I'm just putting them all on here. In space L space in space R dense text out L. I'll put a space in that. Out L and out R. Out L and outer. I could try to do stuff like this for those and have out L and R be in their own little box, but I don't know. All right, let's just print this. These are all the rest of the labels that I have to do. That's a lot. Maybe this one will have the line that I need. Say the line. So this is what I've been doing for 3 days. I still need sheeps, and I need to finish testing clouds, because I don't know if we fixed what was wrong with clouds. But clouds might be a pretty extensive session of fixing, just due to the nature of what might be wrong with these STM32 things. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. No, it's ripping weird over there. God, they are all over the place with these lawnmowers. I didn't press down far enough. Ah! Yeah, darn it! Fuck! Ah! I didn't press down hard enough. Print another one out. Batteries are gonna die on this thing. That's the other thing, is I'd really like to have the power supply for this thing, but it takes 9 volt DC at 2 amps. Who's got 2 amps? Let's try that again. I'm trying to get a big line so I can put it on the between the knobs and the thingies. This is probably not helping. Jacose sent in this ruler because he was sick of me not being able to have straight lines and measure small things. It's also got a drill tap guide. which, you know, a righteous frustration. Project Man not having Project Man thing is pretty frustrating. Kind of skipped over that part. I hope that comes off clean. I guess if I kept the ruler there and I traced it twice, that would have been much better. No, that's good. Okay. Am I going to need to use... Well, I'm going to need labels to be on that top piece, so this should come up a little bit. It's not going to be even. Oh, man, that's bad. Oh, I'm not pulling that up. I might pull up the whole thing. It looks like a mustache. I'm getting rid of it. Looks like a mustache. Stupid. It's dumb. This looks dumb. Creating a recovery file has failed because the move command editing your file, Clouds 3, will try again later. What? That's a Fusion 360 thing. I hope I've got enough space on the hard drive for this stream. All right, let's get this done. Let's get this done. Ooh, that got a little close. Oh, crap. It drives me nuts when the ruler moves around. Everything we're cutting against is slippery, so it's easy for stuff to kind of move out of the way by accident. Blend. Yeah. Come on. Give me blend. Okay, blend is out here. So give these just a little bit of room because they're going to have a nut around them. Blend. Outright. I'm kind of trying to keep it consistent and get all the labels on the right sides, but I mean, I guess I could have cut down from there and then I would have enough room for this to kind of start to interact with the hole a little bit. It's funny that there's a volt per octave. This isn't an oscillator. If I really wanted to be crazy, I'd use another ruler to get them straight, like on the same lines. This is as close to professional as I think I can get. I hate that when you start cutting and the knife is at a weird angle. Size is there? Yeah, okay. Size. Texture. Probably could have put the whole URE on the end of that. Posts. Dens. There's a lot of labels on this one. Okay, careful. Trigger in R and in L, and then freeze. You kind of get to know where to start the blade and what the feel is when you hit the line that you've cut horizontally. It's a surprising amount of control that you can have over that. And I guess that used to be a job at magazines, is cutting stuff out and putting all that stuff together in collages, or for whatever, you know, like making an advertisement, you would have to use an X-Acto blade to cut stuff out and collage it together. So in L is actually, yeah, this is in R. Okay, make sure to get these straight. Last one. Freeze. Okay. So now that I've put all the labels down, and I guess we're not doing any special flares on the thing, I could do like a little arrow that points up from these, but I don't think that's going to be entirely necessary. This is very utilitarian, what we have here. It would be nice to have it be a little bit artistic. I think the art is just the simplicity of it. But now that I've got them all down, I'm basically just going to go over with the roller again and just make sure that everybody is stuck down. And what this does is it reveals a little bit of the texture underneath, which I think is a neat little flare. The texture of my 3D printer, the sort of cross-hatch pattern that's on that bottom layer, shows through just a little tiny bit. Or at least it did. Some of them more than others. But there we go. Now we've got clouds and it's all labeled. And I can drop that back down onto the hardware that hopefully we don't need to see again. May need to see this hardware again if we, if some of these lines didn't solder properly and if anything's wrong with the microcontroller. I think we loaded this up with software and it looked like it worked. And then when I tried to load in new software to it, it didn't accept it. It wouldn't accept the audio levels of it. So each of these gets a ring. Do I have all my rings? I think I do. Should. Knobs, vinyl, knob, where you go. Just looking for hardware on the desk. Problem with having all the modules around me is that they are cluttery. So much clutter. Is it under this? Oh, there it is. Okay, and then the nuts. All the yard equipment is going to be everywhere. I may not be able to stream tomorrow. I have a doctor's thing. I'll have to look at what time that is. Oh, God. It's just going to be my endo mad at me for not doing anything. Like, not recording anything. Well, I don't need to record anything anymore. That actually automatically uploads, which is kind of amazing. So it's just finger tight. It doesn't need anything more than finger tight. Enough so that the bolts won't back out for any reason. And even under finger tight, it gets kind of to be a little bit of an issue with the vinyl. And then I'm making sure we're using the same hex nuts on everybody. The only one module really got to use the rounded ones, and that's because, actually two, Basics also got to use the rounded ones because things were a little too dense. But for the other ones, I'm using the same hardware so that I don't have to go hunting for stuff all the time. I was running out of these by the end of building all these modules, and so now that I've ordered like a satchel of this size nut, I have all the right stuff. I've been meaning to get around to refurbishing these too. Clouds has been kind of on the back of my mind for a while. Okay, we're almost there. Oops. Get that back in there. All right, so now I need to go hunting for more of these, but luckily I've got several billion. Thanks to Thonk. Thank Thonk. I just need 4. Dude. Finally close the chapter on all of these custom builds, although we've got a couple filters to build. Those will be fun. I have no idea what this thing sounds like or how it does. I'm going to have to sit down with it and like learn it. I don't know if I have right and left audio to give this thing in my synth. I don't have like a panning module. I should get a panning module. Okay, and that's what this one is for. Knobs. So for the knobs, turn them all the way to one side, and then the dot on the knob should be at 90 degrees to the flat portion of this thing. So I do like that, and then at that 90 degrees, it's also, you can get in between them. And I need to lift it up just a little bit because the vinyl is a little bit thicker, so the front of the knob doesn't hit the end of the potentiometer. So 45-degree angle, lift it a little tiny bit, and then tighten it. These are machined like they would hide the hardware underneath them, but they're really just not able to do that. The knob hardware is too large for them. If it were the size of this, then it would be better, but that's not the size we're dealing with. But it gives kind of an industrial look to everything, so that's pretty decent. I could put like a plastic washer in there. That's probably what you should do. How many of these do we have left? 2. We have 2 and then the one that fell on the floor. Oh, I'm not going to have any of these knobs left. I have exactly the right number. I need to order more. I like these because they're kind of like hardcore industrial looking knobs. Well, I can't really reach that one, so we're going to have to come back a little bit. Like that. Yeah, it's just about the right angle. Julian's real particular about the angles that these things are at, and I just didn't get the right kind of shaft to have it be super accurate. This one's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to find hardware for that or print something maybe. Here we go. Let's see if we can find a knob for it. Let's just get all this crap off too, because it's been annoying me. Right, so that's the process. That's what I've been doing to get all these things labeled and together. There's a couple little techniques that I settled on while doing 500 of these things, but if you transfer those little labels onto a no-stick backing, it works really, really, really well to just very carefully cut them out and then transfer them over to where they'll be. Of course, all my cutting is completely uneven. It's all a mess. Let's see how sheep's turned out, or tides. Yeah, I'll just call it tides. Looks like a good print. Let's see, can I get it off? Yep, there it is. And then I clean off all the little extra pieces from the printer just to make my printer ready to print again, because it's going to be printing pick-and-place parts soon. I got to figure out how I'm going to design the end pieces for the 2020 rail that makes that little arm that sticks out. That'll be a fun one. Maybe we work on that tomorrow if I stream. So here is the sheep's module. It's nice and smooth on the right side. This is when I would, of course, dive into the exact same process all over again. Just do it over and over, over and over and over. What the hell? Oh, this is the plug that I eviscerated on camera. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to work all these back into the synthesizer thing and then test them out and see if they work. Some of them are tuned, some of them aren't. Some of them are slowed down. We slowed down Brain Custard the other day. That should be pretty cool. A lot of wibbling waves in here, and then we'll get to see what it looks like in the wooden enclosure that I have. It should be a pretty nice look, to be honest. And we'll see how many blank panels I'll need on that as well. All right, we're done for the day. That's what we were working on. There's really no payoff. The only payoff is that I have one knob left over, but I need to get sheeps all situated at some point. Maybe I'll do this one tonight. And then I will be done reskinning all of these, and we'll move on to probably making another filter once the pick and place is done. So the pick and place becomes the focus project for a couple streams, so that I can get all of the systems of that worked out and together, and then we can build a synthesizer with it, and I can show you guys what it's like to have a decent desktop pick and place. All right, thank you everybody for joining me. The next stream, I didn't do the end card today because I don't know if I'm going to be on or not. I have a doctor's appointment, a telehealth appointment tomorrow, so I'm going to have to see what time that is. Hopefully it's early. I don't know if it is, though. I don't think it's particularly early, but if it's in the first half of the day, then we'll be good to stream, and we'll work on some pick and place stuff. A little bit of Fusion 360 designing, and maybe some playing around with air to see if my air is enough to pick stuff up, and if I can pick a part up, move it a couple times, and not have the air turn back on. I don't know how that's gonna work, but yeah, that's how we're gonna make airs. I'm just gonna fart to see if my little compressor is enough for everything. What do we got? Like, what's going on? Like, is anything happening? I haven't been. Just look at the front page of Twitch here real quick. Ow, that kind of hurt my cheeks. Teardown, really? Wow. That's what Ravos is playing. All right. Wait. Michael Knight. When did is that I think that's a video game store that I followed like a million years ago. Jesse Cox is on. Oh, these have... What? Out of order. They're out of order. Show more. Oh, Gina's is doing Minecraft. All right, I'm just gonna end. We're just gonna end the stream. Stop. Hit the stop button. Hit the emergency stop button. I'm gonna be back tomorrow if I can. I'm not sure if I can. It's been difficult to do the streaming stuff as people settle into their schedules and stuff. It's been a little crazy, but hopefully we'll get to all this stuff. Thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow if I can. If not, I'll do a Saturday stream. We'll just do a cute little Saturday stream where we work on the pick and place, because I want to design like bearings into hinges in order to make that flat arm that does its thing. And then if that's in 2020 rail, then I can staple more stuff to it. We can add the little thing that does the solder paste dispension stuff. All right. Yeah, you guys figure out what you want to do. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on, and I will catch you later. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye. Where's the